Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap, cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think, cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his
So another week of rugby league has gone. The regular season's finished. It's certainly been fun this season. But a piece of silverware. Matty Pete's second in 2 years. So another good week being a Wigan fan, isn't it, Matty?
Yeah, I think it's probably been one of the more enjoyable seasons I can remember, not just because we're going to finish top and have done well. It's just that there's not been anybody running away with it at the top. There's not been anybody cut adrift at the bottom. The top six race has been interesting. There's been a lot of teams that have beaten each other.
I think from the Wigan perspective as well, like, we started off well. We had that dip where we lost a few games back to back and the semi-final defeat.
Yeah.
To then come back and catch up in a title race that wasn't really on. Really, everyone said Catalan's win.
Catalan, it was done and dusted.
Catalan's needed one win
with a 4-point lead and us to play at home on deck. But I think if you take this season as a whole, now we've done 30 games, 27 Super League, three in the cup. Obviously, it started poorly on Channel 4 that Saturday afternoon. We lost to Hull KR.
Yeah.
A couple of decent wins. Lost to Catalan. A couple of decent wins. And then we had that Easter period where we were flying. We won 3 games in a row. We beat Wakefield to go top. And then there was an international break. We lose back to back. Get back on the horse. Magic. Lose back to back. Get back on the horse. Lose away at Wakey. Lose in the cup semi-final.
That was
immediately
like,
then
rip
off 9 wins in a row.
Like the distraught feeling of losing at Wakey, where I thought, my God, we could implode here. You know how devastated I was stood on that.
And to be honest, we had one this time last. Well, not this time last year, but that time last year when we went away to Leeds.
Yeah.
In July, and obviously the season was shifted a bit earlier last year because of the World Cup. So we went in July to Leeds last year, and it was kind of a bit further towards the end of the year, and we got turned over, and we thought, right, this could be it. Now we ended up finishing the year pretty strong. Running to steam is what it is. This year, however, we've then ripped off 9 straight wins since the cup semi-final defeat. Not a lot's been made of that. I don't mind that too much.
Just going about our business quietly.
And we've also overcome quite a lot of points difference as well. Because we've ended up winning it on points difference, not by 2, not by 4.
We actually won it in the end by around 60 points ahead of Catalan.
Yeah.
And over 120 on St Helens.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the fact that we've played 30 games this season, 30 competitive games.
30 games, yeah.
27 in the league, 3 in the Challenge Cup.
Yeah.
Losing 7 league games, 1 in the Cup. We're 22 from 30.
It's as good as any other team.
It's as good as any other team.
In fact, Saints had 22 wins. Catalan had 20. What round did they go out? 20?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It gives us a 73% win rate, which I think if you ask anyone at the start of the season to win 3 every 4 games, you'd absolutely snatch someone's hand off.
Yeah, and the other thing is, we've won in the south of France. We've beaten St Helens. We've beaten Warrington every time we played them. We've beaten Leigh every time we played them. So
there's no one that you feel has got the better of us.
Right, that's what I mean. Yeah. There's nobody who's got that wood over us. In fact, we've got it over a few other teams.
I feel we couldn't have asked for much more, considering that poor period of losses. to be at 73% and probably gone.
It was
I think-
never. It was
Was
never.
it the best part of a month?
We never lost 3 in a row.
We lost 4 games out of 5 with an extra time win at Hull KR to split that. And to still win 73% of your games.
To still win the League Leaders Shield. It's a good effort. And we've been beaten up as well this year. It's not like we've done it without any injuries.
Yeah.
We've had significant injuries in the pack. We missed Jay Field for 2 months. You know, we haven't had our first choice standoff. Most of that was through injury, but latterly it's because we've chosen not to.
We've had to find the plan to come around it, and that's stuck.
Yeah, Cade Cust has been a healthy scratch recently, whereas the move was only necessitated by his injury against Catalans, I think.
And the Ryan Hampshire.
Or Salford it might have been against.
Yeah, the Ryan Hampshire.
And the
not
fact
being
that
fit for me.
the fact that Hampshire was not
was
ready
unfit at the time
to start. So yeah, I think we've done really well. I'm really pleased for the players. I was glad to see them celebrate it.
You know the other thing I want to say about them celebrations? It felt like it was really celebrated. It felt...
Oh, it wasn't over the top though.
It wasn't over the top, and there was still the feeling of there's still a job to do, which everyone in Super League agrees. Winning the grand final is what matters.
Yeah.
But I would like a little bit more emphasis on it.
Do you think that the League Leaders Shield is getting more important
I think it's
rather than less?
I think it's getting more important, but what I would say is I think getting top 2
Yeah. No, I
is a
know what you
more
mean.
important feeling.
I think this year in particular, with 3 really strong teams, it's made it worth
Yeah.
a lot more because you've got the psychological effect of we've beaten these 2 teams for the cup, but also
We've avoided both of them before a potential grand final.
So if we do play one of these, it will be in the grand final. We can't play both of them.
Yeah.
So I think there is that case of this year. It means a lot to finish top, more than usual.
More than usual.
But hopefully that's a sign of things to come, and the League Leaders Shield does get treated with a lot more respect because, like John Keir says, and Lewis mentioned it last week, it's the hardest trophy to win, but it gets almost the least respect.
Yeah.
And you know, I think
it's very tough because you set out your season to win the Challenge Cup, to win the grand final. But to win the grand final, you probably, to play your best rugby, have to win the League Leaders Shield. To play the best rugby consistently.
the best team usually wins the League Leaders Shield. Now, I know I'm a biased
Wigan fan.
Wigan fan here, but I do honestly think Wigan have been the best team this year. I think it's close, but I do think Wigan have been the best team this year overall. I think we've played the best rugby.
Yeah. I think we've played the most consistently.
Yeah.
Exciting rugby.
We've been fantastic. I think it's been the very fact that we had that spell in the middle where we lost those games and the way we lost to Hull KR and the way we lost to Wakefield, it kind of feels like we've had some downs this season, but we've had a fantastic year. We've played really, really well.
Yeah.
And perhaps we've been a little bit naive at times, but we've played really, really well.
I think that maturity has settled in. As we showed in this game, that we can play contrasting styles.
Yeah.
I get the feeling, and this is what I really like, and we showed the other side to it, that yeah, we've put big scores on in the last few weeks, the 48-6, the 50-0 to Leeds, the 34-0 to Catalans, but we've always praised our defence in that. I think this win, the 10-6 win at Leigh, showed us that we can play ugly and win. I always think good teams play ugly and win. You look at the top teams around the world and the great teams that there's ever been. You look over in Australia and with the Panthers being probably the dominant team. I always get the feeling they can either win 6-0 or beat you 36-34 if you want to go into a shootout.
Yeah. And I think the important thing was, we mentioned it last week, we've blown Leigh away twice.
Yeah.
We were never going to blow them away a third time.
Yeah, it wasn't going to happen.
It wasn't going to happen. So I think to have come to this game and to have won it as a bit of a defensive arm wrestle.
Yeah.
And to have won it with some outstanding cover defence. And then a couple of moments of brilliance.
If you're sat in that Leigh changing room, you're sat thinking, how do we beat these men?
Yeah.
Because we've tried to get into a low scoring arm wrestle and they've beat us. And every time we've tried to play expansive and outscore them, they've done that to us. It's a bit, where do we go? And that's the feeling that I get, and I would expect some Leigh players to be feeling.
Yeah. So in terms of this game itself, then, I mean, it was settled by J Field, wasn't it? J Field settled this game.
We've talked about this season quite a bit. Two different types of players that we've got as a club. We've got system players and players that manage games in the likes of Harry Smith, Liam Farrell and
Morgan Smithies,
Sam Powell.
Ellis.
Yeah, who... What's the word?
They just work.
They work hard and
smart.
Yeah, and aren't your floor players?
We spoke about the what did I call Harry Smith, the piano, the guy who carries the piano.
Don't compare him to Fred again.
Fred carries the piano for
the artist to play.
For the artist to play, and
Harry Smith's done that this year.
He's done that.
But I remember saying around round 20 that I always think if a game's 0-0 after 20 minutes, we've got the players to score. And that's what Field showed this week.
He went down a bit of a blind alley. He shoved Ed Chamberlain into next week. And for a boy, they're missing Zach Erdicker and Ricky Latelli, aren't they? Like,
yeah.
But more on that later. He then made two men miss.
Without really touching him. Without, an absolute piece of brilliance.
Briscoe showed him the try line, though, didn't he? He should have just showed him the touch line.
But I don't think Briscoe had a chance to, change his position. It happened so quick that I think he doesn't really move Briscoe. He can't step back inside to the field of play because it happens so quick. You just got to tackle him.
Yeah.
And 1-on-1, Field makes you miss. He's just done it 3 times. He beat Ed Chamberlain 1-on-1. He beat Briscoe 1-on-1, and then I can't remember who the third defender was.
I can't remember either. The third one.
But he makes him miss.
Got in between them.
And
just brilliant.
That's the brilliance that wins you games.
He basically made 3 men miss inside a full box.
Yeah.
Width of space.
The brilliance that we talk about to win close games.
And then again, he makes the correct decision to put us 10-0 up.
Exactly.
With a brilliant pass to...
Picks the right pass.
To Jake Wardle.
I don't ever think I said it on here, but I remember speaking to you privately, Matty, when we were talking about when he was at 6 and when he was at full back, and a couple of times I mentioned to you that when he's at 6...
He's too flat.
He's too flat and he doesn't have time to pick the right pass.
Field's best... I think I said on here, Field's best quality is coming out the back.
Running at pace.
And his cover defence. But running at pace, coming out the back, and...
Then making a decision.
And Ben French's best quality is making something out of nothing.
Yeah.
So you can have that anywhere on the field. You can have that at 6 if you want.
But I was always concerned when Field was at 6 that it felt like his passing was a little bit too long, and
he got into a bit of... He was a 6, so he had to pass as well.
Yeah.
Which I think Bevan's smarter at that sort of thing.
But when he's at full back, if that gap opens up, it keeps his game simpler, is what I'm trying to say. If that gap opens up for me, I'm going and scoring. If he bites in on me, I'm picking my outside man.
Yeah.
And this time it was Jake Wardle.
Yeah.
And he's got 2 options. He's basically got 3 options all the time. Run, pass to the centre, pass to the winger.
Yeah. And we've seen him make that decision.
Yeah.
Ever since, I would say, ever since the Leeds game where Wardle got a hat-trick, he's made that decision
numerous times.
Consistently the correct decision.
Yeah.
And French has as well. And this might come back to bite me if they throw one in the semi-final, but those interceptions they threw, for a time when they were both throwing them,
But I think that time playing together at 1 and 6 in particular,
maybe
it's led to them picking the right defensive cues.
Maybe.
Field at full back, he's looking at the centre and the winger. Have they both bit in? If the centre bites in on Field and the winger stays out wide, he puts Wardle through. If they both bite in on the man, Marshall's in. If neither of them go, I'm scoring. He knows what he's looking for, and they talk about it in other sports. You have to do something. Is it like 100,000 times the more I can't remember the number now, and the saying will come back to me later on. But because we keep putting them in that positions, they have to keep reading the right cues.
Yeah.
And reading them cues, you get better at doing it. You make it right more often. You keep going there, and it's like a positive spiral that you've got it right, so we'll do it again, and it just keeps happening. And teams now don't know how to defend that.
No, I think he's been fantastic all year, really. I think he was unlucky to miss out on the dream team. I think he missed 8 weeks, that's why.
If he doesn't miss 8 weeks, for me, he gets in.
Yeah. Well, his stats are up there with Wellesby's anyway.
Yeah, we said here when we picked our dream team that we couldn't...
It's an impact thing, isn't it? And you miss 8 weeks, then your impact has been lessened.
And 3 or 4 weeks at 6.
Bit of a slow start coming back into it. But I do think that, there is an argument to be made that he's been the league's best fullback. I think he's been fantastic.
Yeah. He showed his form of last year.
I can only hope that he's a Wigan player for a long time to come.
Well, I'll be happy if I'm watching him 5 years' time.
Well, I'll be very happy if he's still playing for Wigan in 5 years' time. I think that'll be very, very optimistic.
But then, Lachlan Lamb's try.
Yeah, I like this try. I've said before about Leigh's attack. I really like this try. It's hard to be critical of the defence here because of the bodies in motion and because of how well executed this block play was. Yeah, I'm not going to say this person shoulders in or anything like that. I think it was just well done.
I've watched it back 4 or 5 times, and I don't think I've really gone, "Oh, he's made a massive mistake."
It's not. It's how they would have drawn it up. Leigh's coaches.
Yeah,
it's exactly how they would have drawn that up. Yeah, perfect. I think it was really well done from Leigh, and it's just a shame from their point of view that they couldn't open us up like that again. I think maybe we learned a lesson, or they weren't quite as sharp in future attempts. But that was their only time breaking us apart, really.
It was,
especially from deep.
Yeah, there was a couple of breaks. They made the break early on, but we get back with a cover tackle from Harry Smith. Who was it that stepped through?
I can't remember.
O'Brien stepped through. Sorry, I went completely blank then. After about 10 minutes, and Smith gets back with a cover tackle after being beat, probably to the tackle in the line.
Yeah, and the other big one.
Then we recover.
The other big one was putting Charnley in touch off the scrum.
Yeah.
The inside work from Jay Field to free up his outside defenders.
Yeah.
Made this. I know the hit from Miskey was impressive, and is it King that finishes him off, or French maybe? There's a team effort anyway. There's a bit of a gang tackle to get him out, but the initial hit from Miskey, the initial contact, saved a try, but also the inside work from Jay Field out the scrum, and being quick enough to cover that ground to take the ball carrier so that his outside man could slide.
Yeah.
Underrated effort areas.
Lewis mentioned it, so I should say that Lewis isn't here today. He's
Oh yeah, he's not just being really quiet.
We talked him out. He sat there really quiet. Well done. Lost his voice, but he's here. Lewis obviously mentioned a couple of weeks ago about the amount of times that we're putting players in touch, and it felt like there was one a game. There was actually 3 times we put players in touch this game.
Yeah.
Because I obviously made a joke in our group chat that another one thrown in touch, and I said, obviously,
DJ Khaled.
Is there a podcast that mentioned Wigan doing that? Obviously talking of ours. But then I did become DJ Khaled saying another one and another one repeatedly. That was how it felt. We kept putting players into touch. It must be so demoralising.
Yeah.
Getting put in touch, not getting good ball in places that you should get good ball in attacking situations. I think there was one where we put him in touch effectively on our 30-metre line, and they've had 3 or 4 tackles, and they don't get them. They don't get them 3 or 4 tackles.
Well, Charnley was put in touch off a scrum, wasn't he? Play one off a scrum. I said last week.
Was that about 15 metres out, if I remember right?
I think it might have been 10. I said last week, you've got to have a try. You've got to try and score off a scrum. You've got to put a play on. And I know the risk is getting bundled into touch, and you lose a full set on the line, but you've got to try and put a play on.
But this is what I love from Wigan putting him in touch there. The next time you get a scrum in an attacking position, you're going, well, if we go out wide, we might not get 6 tackles here.
So I'm just going to go safe.
I'll go safe and we'll set up. And then do you throw a cut-out pass because you've had a scrambled play put into touch? You've had, what should I say? You've had a scrambling defence put one of your players in touch.
Off a scrum play.
Do we settle on the third so we can have another go? As a halfback, you're not asking the questions anymore. You're asking about the defence. And it becomes so difficult to actually make your mind up because you're doubting yourself and you're doubting your team's position. You see all the Wigan lads jump up, patting each other on the back, and it's a win for them. You've picked them up without doing anything.
Yeah.
It must be really, really, like I said, demoralising that, it's happened again, we've been put in touch. And if you're playing Wigan in the semi-final, are you going to throw it to the touch early on, knowing how Wigan have defended? Does it narrow you? Does it changes the way that you play? And that cannot be good for a team in a game trying to figure out how to play. But we should really talk about it now. There was 2 controversial decisions. 2 decisions that haven't gone down well with fans.
Well, one decision hasn't gone down well.
One decision hasn't gone down with fans.
There's one decision that people are perfectly fine with.
Yeah. And for me, I'll be completely honest, I don't think either of them are obstructions. I really don't.
No.
Field steps through. You can't get a hand on him anyway. But once he gives that, and we've talked about this before, once the ref gives a decision, it is going to affect the next decision. I keep hearing that Kyle O'Donnell hits Bevan French on the outside of his shoulder. He doesn't. When he first makes contact, the face to face.
He needs to go through the line. He changes his running line.
But he doesn't change it enough to get out the way of him.
To hit Bevan French, and by the letter of the law, that is a obstruction. Now, the other interesting thing is the J Field try.
Yeah.
That was perfectly good try that was ruled out. You can say they're both tries, but it's a bit of a butterfly effect thing. If J Field's try gets given, it's not a penalty to Leigh, and they're not setting up on our line, so they don't have that chance to score.
Yeah.
Right? If J Field's try is chalked off and Gildart's is given unfairly, then
we might play a bit more attack.
We've got 25 minutes to try and get 2 points. We'd be 2 points behind with 25 minutes left.
This is my frustration.
It's so stupid that you just assumed that was the match-winning try. People are assuming that was match-winning try.
And it would have only made it 10-10.
Exactly, with a kick to come. He misses the kick and it's level for 25 minutes, or he kicks it and Wigan are 2 points behind for 25 minutes. Well, hang on a minute. But when have Wigan had to score more than 2 tries? We have done.
Yeah. It really does bugbear me.
It's ridiculous.
And obviously there's been the video of Beaumont's rant about referees and it's not a marketable sport anymore.
Yeah,
and I actually don't want to give it airtime.
Those were just his thoughts, emotional thoughts after a game. No one should have given him a microphone in that moment. I'm sure he doesn't think them now.
But where was his complaint when Zach Hardacre got away with the push in the semi-final to get them to the Challenge Cup final?
Yep. Didn't
complain then. He didn't complain 15 rounds ago that Ricky Latelli has a try where he's was it the one where he was clearly in touch?
Oh, every bit of him was in
every touch. Bit of him was in touch, and because there was no video ref, he gets away with one and they win that game. What he should be angry about is that 27 rounds of Super League, the previous 26 rounds, they should not have been going into the last round of the season needing to worry about how much they lose to Wigan by and how much Hull KR beat Wakefield to finish 4th and get a home eliminator. That should not have been the question. If you don't deserve it after round 26, round 27 isn't the make or break.
No, but I mean, one decision out of 100,000 in one game out of 27.
Why didn't Tom Briscoe tackle J Field?
Yeah.
Because they'd have won that game then. If you take them 6 points off Wigan,
Yeah.
they'd won that game.
We wouldn't have had any time to try and score any more tries.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
At 0-0.
It's such stupid sensationalism. And it's really, really... well...
Where was his complaints?
It just simplifies everything.
Where was his
to a point where it
complaints when they
doesn't make sense.
lost to Saints by 10 points? Or the battering they got at Hull KR? Or losing to Catalan at home after the Challenge Cup final?
Going getting loads put on you at Hull KR is the reason you've lost. Getting loads put onto us. I mean, they went all out for the
Losing
Challenge
to
Cup.
Salford by 2 points.
Fair enough. But they got battered by us just after it. They got battered by Hull KR just after it. You said Catalan beat them.
Catalan beat them. They then beat them. They beat them after the Challenge Cup. They beat them before the Challenge Cup semi, 38-30 in France. They lost after the Challenge Cup at home, 30 points to 14. They lost 52-10 to Hull KR the week after that.
So there's the reason you finish in 5th.
I just don't get it. But even in that, they lost to Salford by 2 points at home, 22-20. They lost to Wigan at home, 34 points to 6. They lost to Catalans the second game of the season by 8. If you...
No. But the reason they finished 5th and not 4th is because of one decision by a referee that was supposedly chalking off a match-winning try when it clearly wouldn't have been a match-winning try.
This is my issue.
There had been 25 minutes left.
If we don't win this game, and let's say Leigh win, right? We didn't not win the league leaders because of that game against Leigh.
No.
We lost it when we lost 4 games out of 5.
When we got beat by Catalan at home, or when we got beat by 12-man Leeds at home.
And when we
got beat
lost
by
to
Wakey
Wakey 27-26 and we give stupid penalties away,
When we lost,
allowing them to get to extra time.
when we lost away to Hull FC.
There's 1,000 incidences where games have been cost and points have been dropped. Not one decision in the last game of the season. You've had 26 rounds. And 5th is good. 5th is really good for them. But now coming in and saying, it's a disgrace, it's not marketable, I've had enough with my money. When you stood next to a Challenge Cup that you got to a semi-final on a dodgy decision whether Hardacre pushed him or not.
So the implication that he made with the whole, the RFL can't afford a helicopter, so they had to have Wigan win it, which is ridiculous, by the way. The whole implication that he made there is that the RFL wants big teams to win the trophies, while he is standing next to a Challenge Cup that they've won this year.
Well, let's say it that we could go as far as to say the RFL wanted Wigan not to win, so they made the refs send Shorrocks off in the semi. What a stupid statement that is to say.
Yep.
Whether you agree with the decision or not.
We never said it.
I disagree with it. I didn't think he should have been sent off, but it's been said. It's done. You can't change it.
He didn't get sent off because the RFL wanted Hull KR to play at Wembley.
Okay, the RFL aren't bothered who gets there.
No. Well, they might be, but they can't actually do anything about it.
It's just
And they don't. It's not one big conspiracy theory, I think. Just is what we're trying to say.
yeah. I don't like it. It's deflective tactics. Then there's the incident with Lamb after the game, and Beaumont's come out and said, which I thought was quite unprofessional from Brian Carney to say that Lamb wasn't available.
Yeah, so Brian Carney said he wasn't unavailable and he was refusing to speak because of the Oliver Gildat no try. And the Leigh camp are saying he was available to speak but just not at that time. It's nothing to do with that no try decision. So I don't really know, we don't know what's going on, do we?
But I just feel like that makes a talking point that's not about the game. There's no need for him to say it.
I'm not bothered. I mean, I don't really care. We're going to lifted a trophy.
Yeah.
And that's all I care about, really.
Right. Before we finish, there's a couple of stats that I want to throw at you. Liam Marshall, 18 carries, 184 metres. Averaging 10 metres a carry. Really, really good. Another one I want to talk about in the carries was Abbas Miski making 147 metres. In fact, all the back 7 bar Harry Smith made over 100 metres.
Which is what you'd expect.
And Bevan French, sorry, the back 5 all made it.
So the back 5 all made 100 metres, yeah. Very good.
Sorry, no, I just missed Jake Wardle. Jake Wardle only made 83.
Oh. But he scored a very important try.
Quiet night from Jake.
You wouldn't tell looking at his face.
In the tackling stats, 21 tackles from Harry Smith.
Well, that's a lot.
A lot for a half-back, and Bevan French...
He'll be
making
glad for the
12.
week off.
Yeah. We talked about defensive needs of a half-back. he makes big tackles.
He made a lot of tackles then, and I didn't see him miss any. Like, he didn't score any down his side. The only try was from Bevan French missing a one-on-one tackle against Kai O'Donnell, which any halfback
Can do.
can do. You know, that's no big deal. That was just clever. Get O'Donnell one-on-one.
But then, Liam Farrell, 111 metres, 36 tackles. The captain just doing what he does, getting about his work.
Yeah, I went both ways to this game. The Pearl,
Yeah.
very good.
Morgan Smithies, he only made 82 metres, but he made a very, very impressive 51 tackles.
51 tackles for Morgan Smithies is like breakfast for you or me.
Yeah. He
It's
just
just
goes
natural.
about his work.
Just natural, easy day at the office.
While I'm thinking about this, the next point I'm going to mention Brad O'Neill making 41 tackles. He also did a stint at 13 where he made 68 metres. They peppered Charnley. Every
They
time.
did, yes, they
every
did.
time he caught the ball.
And it's weird for Charlie to be the one picked for that. Usually it's not a winger. Like, it was Paul Vaughan, remember when it was Paul Vaughan?
Yeah.
Or it's been like
But he
Walmsley in the
but he
past
kept
and
getting
Parzy's beaten us. But it's weird for it to be a winger, but I get it because Charlie is so much of their go forward.
Yeah.
It is
Early
good for
tackles,
Charlie.
like Makinson does for Saints,
Yeah.
making them hard metres and our back five, as we've said. But they peppered him. And every time he was getting up and he was complaining about being manhandled in the tackle, there was a couple of times he tried to walk off the mark. And what I really liked was, we actually stood there, so he gets up wrestling, tries to push off the mark, and he almost got manhandled a couple of times and pushed back to where the ball was. And it makes me think of, I can't remember what year it was, but with Sean O'Loughlin, the very early game we played Warrington at home, and a player tries to step off the mark, and O'Loughlin almost grabs him and pushes him back and says, no, that's where you got tackled, you play the ball there, you're not cheating a metre off us. And it felt like we were fighting for absolutely every centimetre. But some more very, very impressive defensive stats. Cade Ellis, 30 tackles, 10 carries. Tyler Dupree, 23 tackles, 10 carries. Also suffered with a hand injury. A quiet night for Patrick Magor. Only 3 carries and 8 tackles, but he only did 1 stint in this game. But finally, the one I want to talk about, Carpius Paul. Not really known as a big tackler, but made 49 tackles.
He's an excellent defender, though.
He's an excellent
I
defender.
mean, he doesn't have to usually make that many.
That's what I mean.
But he's an excellent defender. One-on-one, he's a fantastic defender, isn't he?
He's always. I never seen him get dominating in tackles, but his tackling numbers are always like around the 25 to 30 tackles. To suddenly be just 1 short of 50.
I think he's going to do a good job down under, you know.
What do you think he'll play down under?
I think he'll play second row.
So do I.
Yeah, I think he'll play second row. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him mix it in the middle.
No, I wouldn't. I can see him. The Knights have got a luxury in him that they can mould him however he want.
Yeah.
He could be an offloading, attacking 13.
I don't think he'll do that. I don't think he'll.
He could.
I think
one of
up,
them middles.
I think he'll end up as a workhorse.
Yeah.
Rather than somebody like that is trusted to sort of lead the team around.
I think a lot of them will use him as the Knights will use him as an attacking threat.
From
kicks.
Off kicks, definitely.
Off kicks.
Crossfield kicks, yeah.
One-on-one tackles, his offload game. If you've got... obviously, I would say he's a right second row due to his offload, but the likes of Dane Garguy outside him and or Bradman Best, if you can get them one-on-one or Ponga off the back of an offload...
Get Ponga coming through the back, yeah.
They've got a real talent there if they can use him correctly. But that's really it for the stats.
The Wigan game, yeah.
I have got one more thing to mention. Bevan French, Harvey Hill, Cade Ellis.
I thought we were going to save that for the predictions just then when you didn't mention it, but yeah.
Also, Tom Amon got a 1-game ban, which they appealed and has now been overturned.
Overturned so Amon can play. Good. We're finding reasons to just ban people for... I mean, that tackle wasn't that bad from Amon.
He slips off.
He put it on report and you know, there was no damage done, luckily. But he didn't do it on purpose.
A caution. Maybe a 1-game suspended. Listen, if you get done for another crusher tackle...
that's what it probably should have
That's
been. That's what it probably should have been. As for Bevan French, it should have been the same. A slap on the wrist and a suspended thing, like if you touch the ref again. Which is what people usually get for their first offences.
Yeah.
See Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook, Tommy Makinson. if you touch the ref for your first time and it's not aggressive, which that wasn't,
No, he's just tapped him on the shoulder.
it's usually a slap on the wrist and a suspended sentence and don't do it again.
Cade Ellis, just they're finding a reason to ban him
They're just finding a
every
reason to ban
week.
Cade Ellis. But the big talking point is how Wigan have utilised this loophole of Wigan
How dare we?
serving these bans
Disgusting.
in the reserve grand final. How dare Wigan, the Wigan club,
Do
TM,
something that cheat
to do something by listening to the RFL.
Mm-hmm.
So the RFL have told the Wigan club, TM, when these players will be suspended for, and the RFL have said they will be suspended for the reserve grand final,
Yeah.
and they'll be free to play in Wigan's semi-final. And Wigan are planning on playing them in that semi-final that the RFL have said they're allowed to.
And
The cheek of that! What sort of club are we running here? These cheats!
it's disgusting, honestly.
And they're not even good at cheating.
Think about the
Because
three
they-
young lads that were going to lose their place in that reserve grand final.
They've copied all the other teams in Super League by using the same loophole as them, so they're not even just original cheats, they're just cheats that copy other people's cheats.
Yeah.
How terrible.
Saints have used it.
Yep.
Leeds have used it. Wakefield have used
Wakefield have used it about 15 times.
it. The only interesting thing would have been Catalans, as they don't have a reserve team.
What Bateman, right, last year got banned. He was going to miss the World Cup, and then all of a sudden he was miraculously in England Knights international.
Yeah.
Morgan Knowles served some of his for international
Was
games.
it? Was
as
it
well.
last year that was banned for the grand final and they appealed it?
Oh, that was
and-
Morgan
and got
Knowles
off-
for a deliberate chicken wing.
And they got off on a technicality, was it?
They
If I remember
appealed the
right?
appeal, and it was they'd filed some paperwork incorrectly.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is, once Morgan Knowles got away with that on the technicality of them filing their own paperwork because it's stupid idiots, and the appeal and all that nonsense, the RFL went out of their way to suspend Morgan Knowles
Yeah.
for a number of times this year, and sometimes he deserved it, like when he took that halfback's head off at Halifax, and sometimes he didn't deserve it. My worry is these players now, because they've got away with this one in theory.
See, I'm going to disagree with you slightly.
Or they
because
look for Wigan players to ban in the next game.
I'm going to disagree with you slightly. Because if Wigan were playing first team rugby next week, them three players wouldn't be banned.
No, I think you're right, actually. I think you're right.
And I know for a
It's
fact...
a cop-out.
You know what I actually thought? We should still appeal it anyway. Appeal it anyway.
No.
Because it get overturned, because it's farcical. You just have the French one. You just have to look at the players that have been handed a 1-game suspension for a first offence this year.
Yeah,
Just-
the
just-
referee dealt with that on field by basically warning him, but taking it well because it was clearly not aggressive.
And but obviously I wouldn't have appealed it. But
No, it feels like a bit of a lottery, doesn't it? At the minute, it feels like we're spinning a wheel to decide what grading things get and how many matches that results in. I think you're finding a reason for your best players not to play, and very often that's nothing to do with foul play. And
how often in other sports do players get banned
for things that
and
haven't
then
been picked up on the field.
that hasn't been picked up on field, but then gets overturned on an appeal of an appeal?
Hardly ever. I mean, I get the whole thing of like they were really hot on not hitting the kicker late,
Yeah.
or they're really hot on wingers jamming in, or something like that. So they've given people suspensions for that. But you've got to be consistent with it, and then
And I
I
they
also
did it with
think-
the hit drop.
I also think like X match ban. It's just ridiculous. Like we're looking for reasons for our players not to play when usually it isn't even foul play. Like none of these were foul play.
You know what I want to do? I really want to go back and look at how much each club has missed players for this season, how many games they've missed, and then say players who are getting paid to play professional sports and people want to watch have missed X amount of games this season out of potential 27 rounds, 6 games a round. I look at it and I find it farcical that we want players not playing. I don't mind it. Foul play, yeah, 3 games.
If
Cade Ellis deserved 3 games for his foul play.
Cade Ellis, when he headbutted somebody, deserved.
He
3
deserved
games.
it. It was fair enough. They wanted to clap down on hip drops, and if you do a hit drop, it's a 3 to 4 game
But
ban.
for a lazy high tackle, I mean, it's not done on purpose. It's not malicious. It should just be a penalty. You could give a red card or a yellow card, but that's
It's
it.
dealt with.
It's
Let the
dealt
ref
with
deal with it at the time, and if he doesn't know, that's what on report is for.
Yeah, we could just put something on.
The Tom Amon one, he didn't know whether
So
it was a
put it on
hit,
report.
whether it was a crusher or not. He didn't know what had gone on. So legitimately, just said it's on report. Game carries on. I need someone else to look at it later on. That's fine. The match review panel should not. It's like it's trying to justify its own job.
It is. No, it is. It's trying to justify the existence.
I'm getting
of a match review
paid
panel.
to review games
I'm
and
getting
ban
paid
people.
I'm getting paid to ban people from.
So I'm gonna look and show how much you need me, so you pay me more.
It's not.
It's
so
farcical.
It's not working. It's not fit for purpose. The good thing about this story though is, it's a bit of a reward for how seriously we've taken the reserve grade this year.
Yeah.
Like we have been, along with a couple of other teams. I'm thinking of St Helens. I'm thinking of Hull KR with Warrington, Leeds.
Okay, sorry, can I just say, the one time that we've tried to use this loophole before, Leeds cancelled the reserve game.
Yeah. That was for KRs, wasn't it?
Yep. A 1-game ban.
Yeah. So
Sorry,
so then we couldn't use it, but we have, along with a few other teams, we have propped up the reserve division.
Mhm.
We have made but we've made sure that we've
Fulfilled
kept
fixtures.
Fulfilled fixtures. We kept a strong reserve team. We've made the final. We deserve
chance.
We deserve this chance. Now, Leigh had to appeal the Tom and Moore one because their reserves didn't make it to the final. There's only 2 teams whose reserve teams did make it to the final. One of them gets a week off. One of them is obviously playing because St Helens are playing this weekend. So I don't think they know anybody banned.
Yeah.
But if they did have any bans, then they would have to be served in the first team game. But well done to Wigan and St Helens reserves for making it to the final.
I'm just going to finish.
Propping this weak division up.
I'm just going to finish off talking about this by just saying, one, it isn't a loophole. It's not something that they've not thought of.
No, it's not a loophole.
Because if
It's been around forever.
If they said it's a first team ban, Wigan might as well put Cade Ellis and Bevan French in the reserve grand final.
Yeah.
And completely dominate it, and everyone say that's unfair and it's horrible by Wigan. They might as well, because they can't play first team rugby. So I look at it and I say, it's not a loophole, but the situation is Tom and Warren and Bevan French get a 1-game ban, and if Leigh beat Hull KR and results go certain ways, Wigan could play Leigh in the semi-final, and Tom and Warren would be able to play that game. Bevan French wouldn't, even though they got the same length ban from the same game, and that isn't right. It's not right. You would be punishing teams for finishing first, and I'm not a fan of that. But on a positive note, won a league leaders shield, first piece of silverware. I hope it's not the only one.
Yeah, I would hope for another one in a few weeks' time. But
I'd appreciate it.
A good shield to win. It's a reward for the consistency and the hard work of the staff and the players over the last 27 rounds, and it's a fitting reward to have a home semi-final and to avoid the other 2 big guns.
Yeah, I actually think as well, because we've won it on the last round, it's not been like Featherstone have got this situation where they won it 3 or 4 weeks ago. And now it's how you play the rest of the season out. You don't want to get injured, but you've got to keep your form. Because it's gone to the wire, it's added importance.
I also think that game we played was the perfect game for us, knowing that we had a week off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have wanted to go into a week off the way, like, Saints beat Hull.
Yeah.
Easy.
In a passive game that was
so easy. The way Warrington even beat Huddersfield, so easy. Like Leeds win over Castle, so easy. Our win over Castleford last week, if that had been our last game, I'd have been worried. Because you go off the back of that into a week off, I'd have been really worried. But having this game, the intensity, this was a playoff game in all but name, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I know it was for playoff seeding, but it was practically a playoff game because Leigh, they get another chance, but they've dropped down a place. They have to go away now. We obviously won it to get the week off. So, yeah, I think this was a playoff-like game, and it's just what we needed for this week off.
Yeah. Really happy. Really happy with how it's gone.
Absolutely delighted.
And
what a season to start the podcast.
it's brilliant, isn't it?
Winning the League Leaders Shield.
Yeah. What a season.
Following home and away.
Right. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back to talk about the rest of the Super League and how that's affected the playoffs. Thank you. So, when Wigan win the League Leaders Shield, there was also 5 other games going on.
Yeah. What was it called? Frantic Friday or Final Day? Something I don't know what I call it.
Frantic Finale.
It was it was
FF.
alliteration.
Yeah, and this is the one time that I get all games being played on a Friday, the last day of the season, so everyone knows all games are on at the same time. They do it in the football, don't they?
Yeah.
The only difference is when they do it in the Premier League, any game that could affect who gets promoted, who gets relegated, who wins the league, they jump between the grounds, don't they? This, it was sort of like you're just waiting for Bill Arthur or...
Well, that's what they did. They went to all the grounds, and I get that. I quite liked it.
They only really showed the whole KR one,
But it's not only who was scoring. They weren't bothering with Leeds. Showing Leeds tries. They showed a try for Dufty.
Yeah.
They showed a try for Catalan. Yeah, they were showing all the tries, I think.
It just felt...
I thought it was a good idea.
I thought...
I wouldn't want it full time because I wouldn't want games kicking off at the same time, as we've said before. But yeah, I thought it was a good idea.
Well, I have got one criticism with the Sky content.
But they kept banging on about Gildart, no try.
Well, they kept banging on about Gildart no try. But how many things did they get wrong? I actually listened to it, and I was sat here getting annoyed because they went, and if this result happens, Leigh will still get top 4. And I went, no, they don't.
Yeah, Barry was talking about, could it be Leeds against Hull KR? Even though that matchup's been set for weeks.
Yeah.
And it's just where it was going to be played.
And I think someone said, at one point they said if Leigh win, Hull KR have to win by so many to get 4th.
No, yeah.
And I went, well, that's wrong.
And then they also went, at one point, and Wigan, they'll be down to 3rd. And Leigh will finish 4th. And I think this was when Leigh were having a bit of pressure on our line. Like, well, they're losing though.
Oh, well.
Like, we're still winning.
It was just... they tried to hype up the wrong things for me, I'm going to be honest.
They tried the best. Also, did John Wilkin have some kind of problem with his in-ears or... He was sounded terrible.
Yeah.
He was slurring his words.
Yeah.
He sounded like, when you can hear yourself back.
Yeah, it really confuses
you. It
you.
really puts you off and it confuses you.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
Well, while we're looking at the Super League game, should we start at the game that...
meant the least.
Yeah, Super League.
Well, it didn't. It meant nothing.
Sky Sports basically said, this game doesn't matter.
They put the...
we don't care about it
they
because...
They put the NFL Red Zone Octobox thing up. And just put 5 games. Just refused to acknowledge that the 6th game was happening. Didn't send anybody there. Didn't send the. It was so funny.
I thought they'd at least send the apprentice,
the junior, Office Junior,
to this game, and he'd be gutted that he's not at a big game, but he's got his break. 2 teams that couldn't make the top 6, couldn't get relegated. Their positions were set. The only real thing was whereabouts did Leeds finish? Did they finish 8th or 9th or 10th? Yeah, that was the only thing that could really change.
Those things that really matter.
And Leeds decided to turn up this week.
Yes, they did. Or to be honest, looking at some of those tries, Castleford didn't.
46-0. 22-0 at half-time. Tries for Sam Walters, Sam Lasoni, a hat-trick for David Fasatua, Jack Sinfield, Daryl Alfords, and Luke Hooley. Reece Martin kicking 7 from 8.
Did you see that try for Sam Lasoni?
No, I don't. I missed that.
So he scored under the sticks.
Yeah.
And then celebrated by giving Ronnie the Rhino a hug.
Oh, good.
Which was a wholesome moment,
Soon to be Wiganer, Sam Walters with a try.
Yeah.
24 tackles and 163 metres made. Another impressive game.
You're trying to make something of this game. Let's just move on.
Yeah, sorry, I can't do it. Let's go on to St Helens. St Helens were probably the top 3 that felt like they had it least in control.
Yeah, their points difference swing was pretty...
They were out of it on points difference. They needed multiple results, and they did what they could do. Get a win. That that's all they could do, really. They weren't going to claw back that points difference. They got a win against Hull FC.
Yeah.
30 points to 12. It was 8-0 at half-time, so really close.
I mean, I was just going to say then, I want to talk about Hull FC as sort of like an end-of-season thing, but we didn't really talk about Leeds or Castleford. I mean, we spoke about Castleford last week, being happy to just survive.
Early predictions. Could the team that gets promoted next year put pressure on Cass if they don't change things quick?
Absolutely.
I think they're in real trouble.
Absolutely. What do you think for Tony Smith? Obviously, they had a nightmare start. Not finished well, but they had a few bright moments in the middle. Winning that the derby. Good Friday was the worst day, but the second derby they won.
They're losing the main man, Clifford.
Yeah. I mean, I heard Cooper Johns was going to replace him.
And then
I heard Cooper Johns was not going to be replacing him, that the club were looking at different targets. So, don't know.
They're not going to get a player as good as Jake Clifford.
No.
They're not. That's a fact.
No.
It's difficult. They've got a lot of money coming on the cap with the retirements of Scott Taylor. I think Jamie Shaw's moving on.
Yeah.
Adam Swift's moving on, which I do think is poor for them, but obviously the situation for him's changed.
Their best chance is to get lucky on a Field French Dufty type. Well, maybe not Dufty because he played a lot in the
But they
NRL.
did that with Tex Hoy, and that's not been successful.
So they took a gamble on Tex Hoy. Their best chance is to take another gamble.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Or promote from the youth. But I don't know what they've got coming through.
But the old stager halfback isn't going to do it for the. It's got to be the gamble. It's got to be the absolute. You've got to capture lightning like Wigan have done twice.
Truman's a big loss. He's going to be out for a long time. An ACL. Tony Smith is a manager that I genuinely believe could be in trouble.
Yeah, it's how much patience do they have?
I don't know. I don't know how much. We've seen it before in the past with. I forgot his name now. The owner of Hull FC. Pearson. The Radford situation where he came out on Sky and announced that day, and I went, "That's not a man who's thought it through." If it gets off to a bad start, as we're going to talk about with Huddersfield and Leeds and a couple of other teams,
The thing is, everyone we've talked about, Rowan Smith needs to start next season well.
And I think this will become a battle of the nerves.
Danny Ward currently, I don't know, he's not got the job for next year, has he? But if he gets given the job next year, he'll have to start well. Ian Watson will have to start well. Tony Smith will have to start very well.
Yeah.
These guys trying to save the jobs.
I think there could be a situation in a world where 2 or 3 of these guys are struggling and a manager becomes available. And if you're an owner, you sat there thinking, do I wait any longer because they might sack their coach first and sign this fella that's available? Because you don't want to be the second team to sack someone.
No.
Because you're missing out on the best choice. So I do think that's a real risk. But this was a poor performance from Hull FC.
I don't know who it could be that. Sorry, I don't know who it could be that becomes available. But
I don't know. I really don't know. There could be an NRL club who's finishing 9th and 10th and their assistants are looking at getting a head coach job. Could be anything like that for all we know, and we don't know it around the world, but I just think one of them might have to take the bullet and bite the bullet and go early. But 30 points to 12. Tries for Saints was 2 for Wellesby.
Yeah.
1 for Lomax, 1 for Dodd, 1 for Percival. Percival kicking 5 from 5. I don't think there's much more to say to that other than Saints doing the job.
Yeah.
They had a difficult situation where they didn't feel like it was in their hands.
They've done what they had to do.
And they did enough to survive.
Winning the last 9 games, same as us.
Keep themselves in contention, and I think that's all they could do. Shall we move over to Huddersfield?
Let's.
Another man that you said is in trouble. We've talked about him a lot. They've made some appointments, some signings. Chris McQueen leaving. What do you make of the Jermaine McGilvery situation?
So sad. So sad. To have it finished like this. McQueen, I get.
Yeah.
McQueen is listening
Nathan
to his
Peats.
body. He's had a great career. He's finishing. Nathan Peats is the same. Finishing, having a great career, whatever. McGilvray is not in that situation.
I've just made a sound to you and then I realised that we're not a recorded podcast. Would
No.
you take him for a year?
I think wherever he goes, he'd want to start. So probably not. No. But I do think there's plenty of teams in this division better than Huddersfield that need a winger. Yeah, and I heard that there'll be plenty of interest in him. It's just unfortunate the way that this is finished because he's been so good for them, so good. And he said this week he regrets turning down offers from this side of the Pennines with successful teams.
Yeah. Because you can't imagine that Wigan wouldn't have been looking at him in 2011, 2012. St Helens.
I mean, that was the implication.
Yeah.
Teams this side of the Pennines that have been successful,
The-
and he regrets now turning them down. Now, whether he regrets that in 5 years, I don't know. When it's a Huddersfield Hall of Famer and he's there every week, whatever, I don't know. But right now, it's going to hurt because he was told
Over the phone.
He was told over the phone just before it was made aware to the public.
They actually
in the last week of the season.
He actually said, they told me I was going to retire. Like, you can't just make a bloke retire.
No.
That's not your choice.
No.
You can't say, oh, your contract's run out.
And that whole sad thing of him waving to that empty stand,
Yeah.
like that should have been packed to the rafters for Jermaine McGilvray's last home game.
A
Honestly.
legend of Huddersfield. He'll go down as a Super League legend.
Of course he will.
Now, this game, tries for one. Chris McQueen loves a,
Yeah.
loves a try.
He was only going to go out one way, wasn't he? And that was scoring a try.
Yeah. But the try scoring was opened by Warrington. Duffy and Harrison got only two tries, even though they won 20 points to 0. There was 4 penalty goals.
They were both crash balls, these as well.
Yeah.
Disappointing for Huddersfield to give them up.
They were soft. And this is why I worry about Huddersfield. That the defence just seems a bit...
Paper thin.
Which you wouldn't associate with an Ian Watson side.
I suppose that those were the only two. We say those were the only 2 tries that they got put past them. So that was the only 2 times it was breached.
So that would have been 12-8.
12, yeah. So 12-8.
4 penalties. 4 penalty goals. It's just not good enough. They're going to lose Will Price, another try scorer for them.
His try was fantastic.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic.
His try was fantastic, and he's going to go to the Knights as well. I'm less confident about his chances than I am with
I think
his
that's
calls.
just backs in general.
That's the
in
reason.
general.
No, that's the reason.
But
The reason I'm not as confident is because of half-backs and full-backs haven't generally done that well.
I'll actually ask you this because it's just come to me at the end of the while we were talking. Connor and Lola here played in the halves this year. There's going to be another change in that spine next year because both of them are contracted. Both of them are going to play. One of them will play full back. So you spent this time sorting your spine out. Will Price has played the last 4 or 5 games at full back, and you're now going to move him on and put one of your half backs in there.
How do you know they'll not sign a full-back?
I'd be very surprised.
If I'm Huddersfield, I'm in the market for a full-back.
You think? And carry on with Connor and Lola here in the halves. None of them seem like a natural half-back to me. There's not one there that I'm thinking is a controlling half. Who's the Harry Smith? Who's the Mitch Pearce in the halves? They're 2 players that win you games. I'd be very surprised.
You're assuming there that I would have Jake Connor in the team.
yeah. I wouldn't personally have a team of Jake Connors.
I might put him in centres. Although they have
They've got
centres.
Nguama, Masters.
So Jake Connor's basically just my utility backup then.
He'd make a good 14 height
Yeah.
man. Warrington sneaking at the 6.
They've got to replace Nathan Peats though.
They've got to replace Nathan Peats.
He's more important than replacing McGilvray and McQueen. Is replacing
Yeah.
Nathan Peats.
Yeah. They've
So
got
I'm
Adam
sorry.
Milner,
Yeah.
who has been starting,
Yeah.
and they've used him as a bit of a utility really, Milner, but they've got some money to play with. There's some money going off the cap, and they've made an announcement that they're going to announce a signing. Is it tomorrow morning? They've said.
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
So that'll be interesting to see who they bring in.
Probably celebrates selling so many season tickets, I don't know.
Yeah. Warrington. What do you think about them finishing in at the 6th?
Warrington, well, they've gone from 11th to 6th, so fantastic Coach of the Year candidate.
Daryl Powell.
Daryl Pearl. Right, so they've improved 5 places,
Yeah.
and that's not the story.
Can we just say they're a bit like the Bunnies this year?
The Bunnies.
Paul last year were near the top of the comp at the start, halfway point, and then ended up missing out on the 8.
The Bunnies made the playoffs. They were poor, but they made the playoffs last year. This year, obviously,
They've gone 11th
like
to
last year,
first.
Warrington finished second to bottom. Second to bottom, Wakefield passed them. That was really bad. I have got some respect for the work Gary Chambers has done.
Yeah, in a difficult situation.
In a very difficult situation as interim boss. I think he will be glad when the season is over to go back to his old role and to have somebody else shouldering the pressure as the main man. But I do think he's done a good job. Well done to him. I just think they've been let down by some senior players.
Yeah.
They've relied too much on some youngsters.
Yep.
They've relied too much on the Aussies.
Yep.
And some of those Aussies haven't been fantastic buys, but they've had some. You could even get away with all that. They've had some toxicity from the top, and
Through the club.
and obviously that filtered down through the coach. And there was that whole
In the pub.
singing the Wigan songs, bucket hat at Catalan, and you can do all that, but it's gonna bite you when you lose a few games, especially
You do that when you get to a grand final.
if you've done that after 8 games having not played any of the big boys.
Yeah. It was weird because they had Wigan next. And we talked about this a lot, but in the pub about Big Cassiano back next week and
It was Josh Maguire.
Josh Maguire, and then there was the Wigan comment, and we're winning the league and taking selfies with fans.
He was just setting himself up for failure. Like, you can do that as a coach. You can take selfies with fans, and you can wear the bucket hat, and you can play along. Going into the pub is a bit much, and singing Wigan songs is way too much.
I don't mind going into the pub, but just sit down and have a pint off a fan.
Yeah.
And just go about your business.
Yeah.
I couldn't see Sean Wayne doing it. I ask myself that a lot when I look at what coaches do.
I couldn't see any coach in Super League doing it. Honestly.
Yeah.
Any coach in Super League.
I can't.
Any coach in
Why
Super
it didn't
League.
make sense.
No, there's no coach in Super League that would go in there and get the microphone in that pub and that would say those words and sing that song. There is not a single one. And that's why it screamed to me as unprofessional. Then he loses to the 2 big boys the first time he plays them. Wigan and Saints back-to-back weeks. Gets slapped back down. Then he's got the whole, we must be doing something right. We're 4 points clear at the top of the table. We must be doing something right. We're 2 points clear. We must be fine. We're level with Catalan.
Yeah.
We're only 2 points behind Catalan.
Do you not remember
we're only 4th.
The tweets, like, I know people put the blame on Powell, but fans were on that as well. Mind the gap about Wigan. We were 4 points behind you after 8 games, playing us next week. We beat you, got to 2.
St Helens beat you. We win against Wakey and we're ahead of you.
And then
2 weeks.
What do you expect when you're struggling to make the 6? That fans aren't going to go at you, put pressure on you.
You're fighting to make the 6. And to be fair, they made the 6 thanks to some high-end talent and thanks to Gary Chambers getting the team up for it. I think if he's a miracle worker, he's got one more in him. It's Friday night. Saturday afternoon against St Helens. That's a tough assignment. But
Don't spoil the prediction yet.
No, I don't think he'll get him up for that. But he'll try his best. And as an interim coach, he's done exactly what you'd want. There was a chance there. There was a moment where it could have gone really, really, really Pete Tong when he come in. Like, it could have gone bad to worse.
It could have got really toxic.
They could have dropped like a stone.
And ended up 7th, 8th, 9th.
Yeah, and then some. We could have dropped like a stone, got like, okay, I would have gone past them, which they did. Salford would have gone past them. Huddersfield might have even gone past them. You know, they could have dropped like an absolute stone.
He's just done enough to steady it.
He's steadied it. He's got the team galvanised. It
Yeah.
looks like he's got his high end talent playing.
We're playing
again.
simple. Playing simple.
Yeah, playing being
Not
direct.
overcomplicated.
I think that's the only chance they've got against St Helens on Saturday. Is just be really direct and take it to them.
Yeah.
And see if you can get your crowd going.
Mm.
That's the only chance, really.
Right. The other game that mattered for the who makes the top six, Warrington winning meant that Salford couldn't make the top six without a ridiculous points overhaul. I think they would have had to overturn nearly 80 points.
I don't think it was happening, that one.
But because of Warrington's win, Catalans won 19 points to 8 at Salford.
Yeah.
It was 8-2 at half time. Tries for Salford
8 apiece then it was after that.
Yeah, 8 apiece. Ben Halliwell and Sneed kicked 2 goals. But the try scorers are probably your big names for Catalan. Matt Whitley, Sam Tompkins, Julian Busquet. Sam kicking 3 goals and a drop goal to make it 19.
So is only Busquet going to be there next year, I said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about these two teams' fortunes in a bit. But Sam Tompkins, fantastic. I get the whole listening to his body, but he's been unbelievable all year.
Honestly, I had a conversation with a friend, and after about 10 minutes we were talking about Catalans and what we think from them, and they didn't think that they were good enough to win it and whatever, and I said, if Sam plays, they can win any match. And that's the ultimate truth. If Sam Tompkins is on that field, you can win any game of rugby league. I still remember there was a game at home we were down to 11 men against Wakefield, getting battered, and Sam played on 1 foot and basically dragged us to a win.
I think there's
He is.
I mean, there's at least one game left in his career. At least one.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about his career as a whole when that's done. But he's one of the smartest players in Super League, without question.
Yeah.
If not the smartest.
And for me, I'm going to go out there and say he's the greatest player I've seen
He
in a
probably
Wigan
is,
shirt.
Yeah, he probably is the greatest player I've seen in a Wigan shirt.
To win what he won, the way that he completely changed his game the first 3 years, to now this organising, doesn't miss a beat, perfect.
The sheer way he could will a team to victory.
Yeah. He's a great, and I think I watch him, and if he's named for a semi-final, he changes the odds. He single-handedly changes the odds.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Salford's defence, not the tightest, really.
No, I mean, they played hard. Rowley was saying, like, we went to eight apiece and then we give away a daft penalty and then they got down the field and
I
scored.
think he says that a lot.
But yeah, it's just...
They give soft penalties away.
Yeah, they've had a lot of errors. They give away a lot of penalties. They've made it tough on themselves. And I think for a team that isn't the most expensive squad in the world, they've just been a bit naive at times, I think. And it's hard to say that because they were good last year. But they've just, like, Brodie Cross made a load of carries.
Yeah.
That's not what your halfback's there to do. I think they've just been they've been guilty of being just a bit naive at times.
But this team shouldn't be naive. I know we're saying it's not the most expensive.
No, but I think
really, Seor,
No.
Dion Cross, Laffey,
But I
Burgess.
think those guys have finished where they should. Those guys are about a 7th place fighting for the 6th.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they finished. I think it was overachieving last year to finish 3rd.
Yeah.
I think this year they've probably regressed to the mean. They are better than a lot of teams, but there's a gulf between them and the top 4, let's say.
Yeah.
Top 3.
Yeah. I have to agree. I would actually say Leigh. I'd say top 4.
Yeah, it's I don't know about that.
I think Hooker are a better side than them.
They are, but I don't know. I just think with Salford, they're a good side, not a great side.
Yeah.
And I think they've made it a bit tougher for themselves. Because good sides can do really well, and they did last year. But yeah, they've made it tough on themselves. I think with a bit of naivety, some silly penalties, some knock-ons, where they've not played really clean rugby. They've thrown it about a bit, which is great to watch. I like Salford. I like them. I like Paul Rowley. I like a lot of the players. I think they're going to be okay again next year.
Yeah.
I just don't see them making that leap. They just.
I think they need teams to finish.
It's the money thing, isn't it?
So the final game, which tied in really well with ours, really.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the 26 rounds beforehand mattering the most, Leigh has to face Wigan, but Hull KR gets to face already relegated Wakefield, and you're hoping that Wakey are playing for pride.
Yeah. Well, if Leigh hadn't sent Wakey down the week before, there's no way Wakefield put in this performance. They might not have won because Hull KR were red hot, but they wouldn't have put this performance in. They wouldn't have let Mikey Lewis just dance all over them for 80 minutes.
I'm going to talk about Mikey Lewis in a minute, but 56-12, 18-6 at half time. So the second half score was 34 points to 6. Bit of a steamroll in the second half. Try scorers for Wakefield were Liam Kay and Kelpie Tanganoa. 2 goals for Will Dagger. Brad Schneider kicked 8 goals. And Michael Lewis got a try, Jez Litton got 2, Ryan Hall, Matthew Staunton got 2, Schneider got 2, Opacek got 1, and Jack Walker got 1. A lot of talk has been made about Mikey Lewis, okay, and his importance in this game. He made 19 carries for 278 metres. Impressive, I know. 1 try, 4 try assists.
Are you going to tell me you went like to the field 3 times and that's why you got so many metres?
Yeah.
And he bombed a try once and they shouldn't have let him through the second time?
Yeah.
There was only 1 actual try that he scored properly.
If I went length of the field 3 times, I'd have 200 running metres. I won't do it as quick as he did.
Who'd you be playing against though?
Blind School.
Blind School.
I might have a chance. But you get my point. 278 metres off 20 carries. They put the stat up as if he hadn't had 3 kicks where he went length of the field.
Stop hating on Mikey Lewis.
I'm not hating
He was
on him.
good.
He was very good. But
He bombed that try when he was
when
when he was 5-on-1 and he didn't pass it to Kenny Dowell.
He's
Just
had
give him a try.
He's had far better games than the one that they're praising for him most.
Yeah, I think Mikey Lewis was good this game.
I just think he's had better games. I think he was good. But we're not raving about Brad Schneider having 2 tries and a try assist.
Yeah, he was really good as well.
Like, this is a relegated side that look demoralised. Young lads that are giving out debuts to, I think, Jordan Schofield.
They handed out debuts, yeah.
Dane Windrow was the 18th man. And I just...
Well,
they had to do a job.
We spoke a lot about Wakey getting relegated last week, so I'm not touching on them now.
Yeah.
Hull KR for Willie Peters.
Getting a big win like this.
Where did they finish last year? 8th?
8th, yeah.
8th to 4th.
Challenge Cup final.
He's made Craven Park a fortress. Challenge Cup final, yeah. You don't want to go there if you're Leigh, really, do you? You saw how important it was to him to get that game at home. I don't want to play him because that would be 5 times in a season we'd be playing him.
I haven't even thought of that.
Yeah. Which is the maximum.
And out of them games, we played 1 at home.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Well, no, we'd play the second one at home.
That's what I mean.
We'd play at home next time. So 2 home games, 2 away and 2 neutral. 1 neutral, sorry. So yeah, I suppose you could have drawn them at Magic as well. If they'd have finished 4th last year.
Wait, so we finished...
We finished 2nd last year, didn't we?
That's interesting, isn't it? Who will get for the loop fixtures next year?
Well, the loop fixtures are sorted, but Magic, I don't know about Magic. I mean, if it goes off the same system, then it's Wigan Saints at Magic, which is what I think it is. So we're back to Wigan Saints at Magic.
Probably should be. One at each ground and
I don't know if it's fair.
1 at neutral.
But whatever. It's interesting though about loop fixtures while I'm on it. We face all the odd teams, so 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th and 11th. Whereas Catalan will face all the even teams, 4th, 6th.
Are you suggesting the loop fixtures are better if you finish?
The loop fixtures are better if you finish 2nd.
Unless you get like a Warrington, but they finished 11th last year.
Yeah,
or 10th. But
Yeah, but the loop fixtures are in theory better. So the team that has the hardest run of fixtures
is the team that finishes 11th.
Is the team that finishes 11th,
So
which will be Castleford.
Yeah.
They have the hardest run of fixtures based off this year's league position.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Right.
it was weird, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you finish first, you get harder games than if you finish second. In the NFL, it's always like that. All the group winners play each other the next year, and the ones who finish second play all the ones who finish second.
It's usually the case.
But I don't know. Loop fixtures would go for us, so.
At the end of this round of fixtures, it actually meant that the Dream Team was announced, the Betfred Super League Dream Team, and we'll quickly fly through it.
So when you say the name, I'll say if we also pick them in our dream team.
Yep.
Okay.
Wellesby,
Yes.
wingers of Charlie and Johnston,
Yes to both.
Wardle and Kenny Dow,
Yes to both.
Lamb and French.
Yes. Pause. We've got them all right so far.
We're 7 from 7.
We're 7 from 7.
It's like we know something.
We're flying high. The RFL's turned off at this point. Ellery Hanley stopped listening because then the forwards were a bit different.
Paul Vaughan,
Yes.
Ipape,
Yes.
Tom Amore.
I wanted to put him in, but we had an argument about it and Mulhern went in. He was our second choice.
Yeah.
I get why they put him in. But,
At 13 was John Asiata.
yeah.
We picked that. Second row,
Farrell. We had Farrell close second, didn't we? As an honourable mention.
I can't believe Matt Whitley's not got in.
No, Matt Whitley was our first choice, and Farrell was probably third.
Yeah.
Say it.
Callum Watkins.
Callum Watkins was the other second rower selected by Ellery and his team. If you look at the stats that I made and put up onto Twitter, they paint a pretty good picture as to why each of these players was selected. Every single one of them is outstanding in one or two fields. Apart from Callum Watkins.
It seems like a strange pick. That's the one that I'm confused about. I'm going to be honest.
I mean, yeah, everyone was confused about it. There were Salford fans confused about it. It just didn't make much sense. I mean, there's guys who've had similar years but slightly better. There's guys who've had a lot better years. By Callum Watkins' high standards, has he had an amazing season? No, not really. And I get the whole, by Liam Farrell's high standards, he's not had an amazing season, but he's still been quality every week. I don't get the whole Liam Farrell thing. I think there were probably... Callum Watkins thing. I think probably half a dozen players
who deserved a place more, in my opinion.
Oh, someone's put something really interesting in on here. Gary, one of our followers, Gary, who actually stood next to at the Warrington game.
I didn't know.
And I didn't know, no. We were a new podcast then. Has just said, what would the score be if our dream team played the NRL's dream team? Because they announced that today. So...
Can you just go through those?
So we've just heard our dream team, right? Those are the guys representing us. The Dally M Team of the Year, coached by Andrew Webster. We don't know our coach yet. It should be Matty Pete. But they have got Caleb Ponga.
Yep.
Jermaine Isako.
Yep.
Stephen Crichton.
Yep.
Herbie Farnworth. Dalin Watini-Zalesniak. Ezra Mann. Sean Johnson. And this is where it gets good. Adin Fanua-Blake. Harry Grant. Payne Haas. David Fifita. Liam Martin. Patrick Carrigan. That's the best forward pack I've ever seen. It's better than Australia's. That's the best forward pack I've ever seen. Imagine if they played against our forwards.
I actually do believe that maybe the 1 to 5.
Yeah,
we could match them.
Maybe
the 6 and 7.
Maybe.
French and
maybe.
Yeah,
maybe only because of Sean's age, but those forwards is an absolute mismatch.
Yeah. Now, shall we have a look at some other nominations that have been made for different awards in Super League? And we will wrap up this Super League section soon, but we might as well talk about them while it's here. I hadn't seen that. Asiata's included in Leigh's squad.
Ooh. Well, he was included in the squad against us, wasn't he? But he just wasn't.
Yeah. Young Player of the Year nominations.
Yeah.
Matty Nicholson of Warrington. Brad O'Neill of Wigan, and Josh Thewlis of Warrington.
I don't know why they only picked 3, because Delaney deserves to be on that list as well. They should pick 4. They picked 4 coaches.
One issue Delaney has is that he obviously played against us in Good Friday, and then he came out of the team, and then he was back in.
He's played 17 games, that's as many as Nicholson.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't think it was that many.
No, he's played 17. Brad O'Neill it would be my winner. I think, I hate to say it, but I think at a canter, I think he's been the best young player from that list. I do think it's harsh not to include Delaney on a 4-man shortlist, though. I don't know why they only picked 3.
Why 3? That doesn't make sense.
They're 4 coaches.
That's what I mean. It doesn't make sense.
They only picked 3 on the Man of Steel as well.
We'll go through then. Who are the 3 nominations, Matty?
For
Man of Steel.
No, they don't know yet. We don't know.
Have they not announced
so.
it yet?
I've not seen it.
So we'll just announce them all. The 2 awards and not the 3rd.
Coach of the year.
The 4 coaches for the year. Matty Peet has been shortlisted. Paul Rowley nominated. Adrian Lamb and Matty Peet. Steve McNamara. For me, I don't want to say it like I'm with blinkered eyes on. Matty Peet wins for me. Paul Rowley is a more of a surprise inclusion, should I say, considering his team have finished 7th and haven't really...
They've regressed from last year.
They've certainly not improved. Steve McNamara and the work that he's doing at Catalans, very impressive. I can understand the nomination.
Come second, they were top for a long time.
Yeah. Adrian Lamb.
If Pete's not going to win it, Adrian Lamb should win it.
Yeah. Adrian Lamb finishing 5th in your first full season in Super League.
Yeah.
A Challenge Cup win.
I don't know if that goes... I think that does go to it, because it certainly went to Pete's win last year.
But even if it's not meant to...
It does, yeah.
It does in the back of your
because
head.
Even if it does, people say, oh, well, they lost these games because they won the Challenge Cup, and then you get a bit of mitigation. So.
Yeah. And Matty Peet finishing top, a Challenge Cup semi-final, and a squad that's improved again.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, Matty, can you give me your 4-1 for who's going to win that?
Rolling 4th.
Yep.
McNamara 3rd. Lamb 2nd. Close. Peet 1st.
I
First
agree.
and 2nd is close. The others are big gaps. But I'd put Paul Wellens in 4th. I'd put Willie Peters 5th. Oh, no, maybe Willie Peters 4th.
Have you listened to John Wilkins' rant?
Willie Peters 4th. Wilkin wanted Willie Peters 1st, I think.
Yeah. And
but, yeah, I'd have.
I
Rose
don't
like
get
6th.
that. I don't get why he wanted Peters to win it. Because as it stands, they finished 5th. They finished 4th.
4th place and lost.
And that's an improvement from 8th.
No, he's done well.
He's done well.
He's done well. That's why I think he deserved to be the 4th on the shortlist.
Yeah.
But I think I'm not complaining that he's not.
And
he's never going to win the whole thing.
Wellens is Wilkins' comments on Welland was that they won the World Club Challenge, so they won a one-off game.
It's not an RFL competition.
It's not, but they won a one-off game that they qualified for because they did well the year before.
With Christian Wolf as coach.
Yeah. And to be in the hunt for a 5th grand final.
Well, if they win it, then maybe.
Yeah.
If they win it, then maybe he's the coach of
But-
the year. But you're picking it before the final anyway.
When Wigan won 8 Challenge Cups in a row, were you picking coach of the year based on the fact that they'd won it 6 times before and they were in the semi-final? Like, well, that makes sense.
I mean, he's took a team that's won 4 times in a row, that
And-
finished 1st last year,
And made them compete
and
again.
he's got to a semi-final and finished 3rd and within touching distance of the top, and they're competing in the playoffs. Good. That's what he should have done. He's done well.
If he didn't do that,
If he didn't do that, then he'd be
Saints fans
sacked.
would want him out.
Yeah.
It's really... it just doesn't make sense. Like, he's done well.
But there we go. That's our dream team.
Yeah.
Talk. Our awards talk. Who do you think the top 3 will be for Man of Steel? The final 3.
Bevan French, Lachlan Lamb, Jack Wellesby. I can't pick the order.
I think that's the order you just said then.
That's how I would pick
In terms
it.
of how good they've been, that's the order. But the Man of Steel is the Man of Steel, and Lamb might win it because of that. Um,
And I still don't know how that system works.
so
Does
the,
it get
the
to
Albert
points?
Goldthorpe had the same system, which is the Rugby League Writers Award.
Yeah.
The Albert Goldthorpe Medal 3-2-1 system, same. It has had it for years.
But doesn't Ellery pick from the top 3?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
I don't remember the year that he picked Paul McShane to win it.
I don't think he picked Paul McShane, did he?
Yeah, it was the COVID year.
Why did he pick?
I think he was
Bevan was robbed then as well. Anyway, I was saying, the Albert Goldthorpe Medal was shared this year between Bevan French and George Williams.
So for maybe George is up there.
I don't think he is.
I don't. But if you're going off that system, he's got to be considered.
They've lost too many games. George isn't in there. He's not played as well.
I know.
I don't know how George has come. I mean, it must be that he got 3 points in them.
I was going to say the games he wins.
But he wasn't flying away with. When we last knew the Man of Steel winners, French was up there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And it was French and Williams. So I think French will win it, but I don't know.
I think
That's my top 3 as well, though. By the way, French, Lamb, Wellesby.
Just last thing on the Man of Steel, on the Dream Team. Sorry, Bevan French, 3 inclusions in 4 years.
Yeah.
The 1 year that he wasn't included was
When he went home because he tore his hamstring.
Yeah, gets injured and went home. His first year in the Dream Team, 2020, he wins it as a fullback. 2022, he gets in the Dream Team as a winger.
Yes.
2023, he wins it as a 6.
Yeah.
What position is he playing next year?
He said himself he didn't expect to win it in this position. I think he'll play 6 next year, I honestly do.
I think he might play pro.
We signed so many props. Unless Pete actually lines up with 13 props, I think Bevan French will play standoff.
Yeah, so do I.
I
hope he does, because that means we've kept Field. And we've kept everybody else.
I wouldn't mind him playing on the wing if we signed a 6, but I don't see that happening, so I think he'll play 6. I think that'll suit me just fine.
I'd be happy with that.
Keep him getting hands on the ball.
Yeah, strike players. Right, we're going to come back shortly and talk about the NRL.
And perhaps the Championship and League One wrapping up.
Yes, what's going on there? How close that's come.
That was crazy.
A crazy last day. And then we've got our predictions and how we think this playoff series is going to go.
Yeah.
We'll be back shortly. So welcome back to this very knowledgeable podcast.
Just because someone said that in a review, called us very knowledgeable, that you'd have to boost your ego.
Hey, 18 years of education, that's the first time someone's called me knowledgeable. So I'm taking it when I can. The NRL was the Semi Finals. The Panthers played Melbourne.
Semi Finals, they call them.
I can't.
Don't actually call them prelims, eliminators. All there, I don't know.
It's just confusing.
Aussies just get it.
The semi final, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And the Broncos played the Warriors.
Yes.
2 interesting games, really. The
Penrith Storm was up first.
Yeah, and it was weird because I've said to myself all along that the one team that I think can beat Penrith were the Storm because of Munster and Jerome Hughes and Big Nelson, that they had players to unsettle Penrith by playing a bit of an unpredictable game. But this just...
Penrith just unlocked the defence.
It was 38 points to 4. It was 18-4 at half-time. The game was nip and tuck for the first 20 minutes, with Toto scoring first and then Justin Allen.
Well, I'm just watching that Toto try now. And they just unlocked the defence so easily. Yeah. With just such quick hands.
I'm running out of words to describe this Penrith team.
The unstoppable killing machine.
Yeah. And
that's all they are. They're just a killing machine.
They'll I said it before, they'll happily bore you to death and win a game 2-0. Or they'll go shot for shot and just punish you and can run up big scores, and if the defence is having a bad game, they'll outscore you. they're just the perfect team. And we're looking again and we're saying they're going to lose Stephen Crichton this year to the Bulldogs. And they've lost the backup half-back Cogger.
But they're getting Brad Schneider.
But they're losing Stephen Crichton, an Origin player. And I don't even think I'm worried for them.
They'll be fine.
They'll be just fine.
They lost. They lost Burton.
Yep, they were fine.
They were fine. They lost Kiko. They were
lost
fine.
Coruscant.
They lost Coruscant. They were fine.
I've got to say,
there must be another
Kenny,
one.
Mitch Kenny has done a brilliant job replacing Coruscant.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not been flashy and he's not been as good as Coruscant. But just providing service to Nathan and Jerome.
Another Fred. Another man carrying the piano.
Making tackles. Just working hard for the team. But you look at that, and when we can talk about the flair and the work ethic of Dylan Edwards and Nathan Cleary just being the absolute... I'm going to go down to say he could be one of the greatest players ever to play this game if he carries on the way that he's playing.
Yeah, I think by the time he retires, if he can stay relatively injury-free, he will go down as one of the greats.
How old is he? He can't be that old.
No.
He's, I've just Googled,
27?
25.
25, right. Same
Debuted
as
at
well.
17.
Yeah.
And we were talking not last week, the week before, that the halfbacks that have hit their best form are Johnson, Reynolds, Cody Walker the year before, all at 30. Nathan's got another 5 years before he's at his best.
Yeah.
And he's already won 2 premierships and in a third final, lost a final, won a World Cup.
Yeah.
Won Origins.
Won an Origin.
He could go down as one of the greatest halfbacks ever.
He could. He would need the representative.
He needs the Blues to win a couple of series.
He needs the Blues to, and he needs to play well for the Blues. I mean, anyone could play halfback for Australia in that team last year at the World Cup and win the World Cup. Honestly,
That's really nice of you. I don't think I could do that.
you're not Australian. You wouldn't qualify.
But I'm just looking at this team and the starting props. Moses Leota, James Fisher-Harris.
They've been so good.
They've been so good. They play 50, 60 minutes.
They're an underrated part of that team.
Yeah. But then coming off the bench, Spencer Leigh, another international. They're props that want to fight for absolutely everything.
In a salary-capped sport, it's odd to see such a stacked team. But when you think about it, these names you're reading out, they're not like all-stars.
They're not Payne Haas.
No.
Payne Haas as a prop forward would be £1 million and Penrith can't afford him.
No, exactly.
They've got players on good money, and again, I talked about. I listen to a lot of NRL podcasts just because I love it, and with the Phil Gould, we were talking about like looking at the top teams and how much would you pay for each player in that team. Dylan Edwards, teams will pay $1 million for him. Teams will pay $1 million for Crichton.
whatever the highest wages in the league, it's Latrell Mitchell, isn't it? 1.3.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, double it, and you've got Cleary.
Yeah, and that squad is probably if you were to buy them all now, it's probably valued 30-40% higher than what the cap.
Yeah.
But they've got players on long-term deals on good money, and they move.
They know
on
you're
players.
That's
wanted
the thing.
an upgrade.
That's the thing. They move on players that they feel they can do without, and they're usually right.
Yeah.
But also, you know you're standing up for success there.
Yeah.
So you can afford to...
And all of these are graduates. Most of these are graduates of the Penrith Academy.
So if you are a graduate of the Penrith Academy, you can afford to take a slightly team-friendly deal just because you know you're going to win. And you know you're going to get all the endorsements that come with that and all the sponsorship that comes with that.
And they're actually been quite clever. Like, they've got Tyrone Peachy back, who has come on reduced money.
Cheap, yeah. Tyrone Peachy.
Utility.
The Brad Shard is not going to cost very much money next year, is
Jack Cogger's not on major money.
No.
But they've got workhorses. The second rows of Scott Sorensen, Liam Martin.
They picked Scott Sorensen up from nowhere. He was off the scrap heap, really, Scott Sorensen, when he signed him.
Yeah. Isaiah Yeo, not on major money. from what's been reported in the NRL, and being offered deals close to $1 million, but he's turned them down in the past.
Yeah.
And he's an influential part, and it's all about that. Getting the value for your money. It sounds a bit boring, really, saying it like that, but
No, I think it makes sense.
the value for your money. Now, I just want to say Nathan Cleary. He missed one goal.
Yeah, the first one off
off the touchline.
Toto's try.
Got himself a try.
Yeah. Mercurial. Talk about the general. Harry Smith, he really is a general, isn't he?
Yeah. He's ridiculous. And it was actually interesting to watch because Jerome Luai was back very quick off a dislocated shoulder. I think he's only missed 4 weeks. And Luai is normally that little bit of flair that is off the cuff. Nathan dictates the game, and
they're a bit like Batman and Robin in that way. Aren't they?
Yeah. And having Luai back just meant Cleary could just, I don't want to say hide's the wrong word.
Grow into the game.
Yeah. Find the right kick.
No pressure.
Get them into a battle. He didn't have to be as expansive if he didn't want to be. They're the perfect foil for each other.
Yeah, I mean, we talked enough about Penrith now. I mean, it's just boring to talk about how good Penrith are. The team that's come out of nowhere to rival them this year is Brisbane.
Yeah.
Brisbane Broncos. They are going to be playing them in this. So
just
hang
before
on
we
a
go on
second.
to that.
So Penrith have played the following teams in grand finals. Then
Yeah.
was one
when they lost.
Who was the first win against?
If you just give me 30 seconds.
Last year it was the Eels.
In 2021, they
Is it Storm again? Oh, Rabbits.
They beat the Rabbits in the
Cody
final.
Walker intercept.
Yep.
Last year they played the Eels.
And this year
it's the Brisbane Broncos. So 4 different teams in the final they've played. I think they'll be favourites again. But the Brisbane Broncos have come from a team that didn't make the playoffs last year into second place, into a team that's brushed aside the 2 semi-finals they've played. Beat New Zealand relatively easily in the end.
Yeah.
And going against, it's New South Wales against Queensland, isn't it? That doesn't often happen.
Question for you. Melbourne.
Yeah.
They finished third, but there's been a lot of talk about how bad they've been, but they finished third. They've had some real beatings along the way.
I think that's why the talk is about how bad they've been, because when they've been bad, they've been really bad.
They've not shown up against Brisbane in the first eliminator, whatever they call it, 26-0.
Yeah.
They then beat the Roosters with a last-minute try.
Yeah.
Get pumped by Penrith, and at the end of next year, Craig Bellamy moves on.
So you're asking me if they need a rebuild?
I forget a rebuild. That's going to be a monster rebuild.
Yeah, well,
Just replacing Craig Bellamy.
Jerome Hughes, Harry Grant will both be there. Nick Meaney will be there. Question mark next to Babenhausen's name.
Yeah. Munster signed a new deal.
Munster, will be there.
The squad will be very similar.
The forwards can rotate. I don't think they'll be in massive rebuild mode. I think it'll be plug and play a few stars and hope for the best with the new coach, honestly. But I read today that in terms of just Australian-based fans, Australian-based members, they've got the most.
Yeah.
Melbourne have the most fans, which is interesting because they are one of the newest teams. They're in a non-heartland.
Well,
they're in AFL
they
territory.
praised that they debuted a 5th Victorian.
They've only had 5 Victorians.
And that says a lot about expansion, about getting a successful team, and then the players will start to come through.
Now, here's the thing about expansion then. A tiny fraction of a huge market is better than a big fraction of a tiny market.
Yeah.
So, the pros to moving a team into Melbourne, is that it is a huge sports-mad market. The cons would be it's AFL territory. AFL is a religion there. Horse racing is a religion there. Cricket is probably third. Basketball's big. At what point is there even space for a rugby league team? Now, rugby league has a fraction of the market of those of horse racing in AFL and cricket. A tiny slice
But
of the
Marvel
pie.
Stadium is always
But
bouncing.
the pie is so large
Yeah.
that they've got the most fans. And Sydney fans are all split between 8 clubs.
Mm.
So this is why you expand into Toulouse, which has got so many people living in it.
Get people.
This is why you expand into London, because even a small portion of a football mad city is
massive.
Yeah.
You need to get a team in London because it's the biggest city. And if you give them support and build them up for years of success, not try to win it straight away, not try and be a success straight away, it will grow. It will grow naturally if you give it a chance. Shall we move on to the second game? Now, Brisbane against everyone's second favourite team at the moment, the Warriors.
Yeah.
I don't think this scoreline is fair.
No, the scoreline didn't flatter the Wires. They played better than the scoreline suggested.
Yeah.
They were within touching distance. They missed a lot of kicks.
And this, it's a major point that we're going to talk about, but it's finished 42-12. At 25 minutes, it was 24-8. Dylan got 2 tries, both kicks missed.
What did you just call him, Dylan?
I realised I messed it up straight away.
You don't know his last name, so you call him Dylan, and that's not even his first name. Dallin.
Dallin. I was trying to read his second name.
Just call him Lionel.
Lionel. 2 tries from Lionel. But Billy Walters, obviously, son of Kevin.
Yeah. So it's coach and son against
coach.
coach and son. Yeah.
Has that ever happened before?
Can't have done.
It can't have.
Surely that's never happened before.
Well, that's Craig Bellamy's got some kid that we don't know against Penrith. The Englishman, Herbie Farmer, scored a brilliant try. How he kept hold of that ball. It was a great pass from Reece Walsh.
Yeah.
But he basically runs about 5 metres with the ball pressed against his leg.
What a fantastic player Herbie Farmworth has turned into.
Mm.
What a fantastic player. And we are lucky that he'll hopefully be a mainstay in that centre spot for England.
Jesse Arthur's then scored. Billy Walters got a second. All tries kicked. And it was 24-8 after 25 minutes.
See, that's the difference. All tries kicked there. You just said it would have been 24-12. You were within striking distance, 2 scores.
Because they then scored 4 minutes later. The Warriors had scored 3 tries. The Broncos had scored 4, but kicked all 4 goals.
Yeah.
It would have been 24-18 if the Warriors had kicked them 3 goals. And
Thing
Johnson
is, though,
wasn't kicking because of his injury.
Yeah, thing is, though, Pompey, the backup kicker, and they were tough kicks as well. They weren't easy kicks. They were really tough.
All 3 were scored by the wingers.
Yeah, exactly. So they were really tough kicks. And you got your backup kicker on there who's not kicked a ball all year, really.
Yeah.
Because Johnson's been kicking them from the car park. So it's really tough on Pompey. And maybe that affected his overall game as well. At some point, like, if he's going to miss all these tough kicks and it's going to affect his confidence, just get, like, Finua Blake to come up there and kick.
Yeah.
Just put his foot through it and see what happens.
But he's the best going here.
Pompey's the best chance of kicking him, I know, but I don't know.
If I was Sean Johnson, I couldn't have had anyone take that kick off me. Even with... Because it wasn't his kicking leg.
You can't risk it, though. You can't risk having to go off in this do-or-die game.
When he's missed 2, do you know what you think? I'm the main man, I'm putting my hand up. I'd like to think I would, but
They were tough kicks. There's nothing to say he would have kicked all 3.
No.
Kicking a ball like that and planting your leg, it's a different motion to everything else in the game. So if the physios have said to him, right, you can play the game, you can do all this motion, but you can't run up and plant your leg and swing your foot.
Mm.
And he says, I'll probably have to do that then.
Yeah.
Because he can't. Sean Johnson can't get subbed off, otherwise it really is game over.
Mm. But that sends it 24-12 at half time. The Warriors come out and were, I would argue, slightly on the front foot. I can't say they were dominant in the first 10 to 15 minutes.
They were up for it though.
But they came out flying before one of the worst decisions I have ever seen. I would have loved to see Derek Beaumont's rant had this happened against Leigh. Reece Walsh, from his own half, piece of brilliance to get through the line. but I think he throws a pass maybe 5 metres to the side of him, to the winger, not Ezra Mann, Selwyn Cobbo. And it might have travelled 5 metres forward as well.
Yeah,
It's not one that's just drifted forward.
No, this wasn't the momentum relay where he got tackled. This was forward out of the hands.
And there was something really interesting with this. If you've not seen the try, go back and watch it. And then watch it a second time and watch what Reece Walsh does after he throws the pass. He jumps up because he knows he's thrown it forward, looks at the ref, slows down to stop running, sees that the ref is carrying on running with the play, and then starts to celebrate. What's even worse is the pass from Cobbo to Jordan Ricky next
Was a bit forward.
was also forward. So the Warriors can feel really, really hard done to. And at that point then it goes to 28-12 and Brisbane put the foot down.
Yeah.
Tries from Ezra Mann and then Herbie Farnworth getting a second. Just killed them. I think that try just killed them. They were running on adrenaline.
It took all the wind out of the sails. They wouldn't have won without it. I don't think they would have won without it. Brisbane would have still...
I still think Brisbane win.
Brisbane would have stepped on the throat and finished it, like closed it out like we did against Leigh.
Yeah.
So you can't say if that was given forward, Brisbane would have lost. Look, the two best teams are in the final.
Yeah.
The two teams that deserve to be in the final are in the final, and I think it's going to be one hell of a game. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great final. And we're going to talk about it next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week. We'll do our predictions for that later on.
If we think about...
But there's some more divisions to really talk about over here.
Yeah, well, the New South Wales Cup was decided. South Sydney Rabbitohs won
Yeah.
that, and Blake Taff was man of the match in his last game before he goes to the Bulldogs. Great, well done for them. They're going to play against Brisbane Tigers next week. I was hoping for North Sydney to win just because we always like the standalone team to win rather than the reserves, but whatever. South Sydney have obviously got some excellent reserves coming through. Latrell's brother played in that game as well. But yeah, in this country, Championship and League One... Well, the Championship regular season wrapped up and the League One playoffs wrapped up.
Yeah.
So Doncaster won the League One playoff final and got promoted to the Championship, so well done to them. Crusaders lost in the final. That was a bit of a fairy tale run, them coming from 6th and winning back-to-back games. But in the end, Doncaster had just a bit too much, although it was quite a close game.
Yep.
So well done to them. Doncaster are going up.
Well done to Doncaster getting into the Championship.
18-6, yeah, they're in the Championship, so they're going to have to try and compete there next year, which is always tough for the team promoted into that league because it's a big gap between Championship and League One. Hopefully they can do that. But then the Championship was just crazy. It's a crazy final day in the Championship. So, Swinton, Keighley, let me get this right. Swinton, Keighley and Whitehaven were the three scrapping to avoid relegation.
Yeah.
Newcastle were down.
Yeah.
Them three, Swinton, Keighley, Whitehaven, were fighting. One of them was going to join them.
Yeah.
Whitehaven lost to Toulouse on Saturday night.
I was going to say, I didn't like this that all the games were played.
They weren't all played at the same time, yeah. But they lost to Toulouse, but they kept it relatively close.
Yeah. What did that end up? Sorry. I've lost the game now on here. Whitehaven lost 16 points to 26.
Yeah, so
They
they
lost
let
by 10.
so Toulouse to Toulouse, who finished second by that score, was pretty good effort, really.
Yeah.
Swinton then went and beat Halifax, so they were saved. Swinton beat Halifax, so they were saved. It also meant Fax missed the playoffs. Fax would have finished in the playoffs had they won. So there were huge ramifications at Swinton. Swinton beat Fax, stayed up. Halifax missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it was for Keighley or Whitehaven to go down. They were level on points. Keighley lost to London away. No disaster because they had the points difference. They just had to lose close. And London are a good team.
Yeah.
Keighley ended up going down on points difference by 3 points. Over the course of a full year's fixtures, they scored 3 points fewer or gave up 3 points more. Points difference wise, it was 3 worse than Whitehaven's. So Whitehaven stayed up, with a win.
Some big losses in there.
Not with a draw, but with an unconverted try 4 points in a game where they lost against Toulouse. What a crazy end to a season. The Keithley,
But this
the one that killed Keithley was they poked the bear when they beat Bradford early season. When we first started this podcast, we gave them a bit of credit for beating Bradford.
Yeah.
In the Bradford derby.
Wasn't that when they put out a few tweets?
They put out a few tweets that they later regretted. Then Bradford absolutely walloped them at Odsal. 74 they put past them.
74-12 that finished.
That.
Another one to include in that was losing 50 points to 10 to York at home. Losing 64-0 away at Toulouse.
Yeah.
And this literally shows the importance of staying in games. Fighting for every try, even at the end of games.
So the one that sent them down, the try that sent them down for London.
Yeah.
If you've not been following the championship this season, I tweeted this. It's mad that you won't know this, but London scored to make it an 8-point gap.
Yeah.
The guy who scored was named Ilias Makani. I confess I haven't heard of him. He's a winger, I think. But Dean Farre set it up. Former Catalan and NRL centre Dean Farre set up the try. And Corey Norman missed the kick. Corey Norman, who played for Toulouse last year, but played a lot of time for the Dragons in the NRL. So Corey Norman and Dean Farre are playing for London.
Yep.
Now I knew that because Dean Farre's got a TikTok of Day in the Life of Dean or something where he talks about being a professional rugby player. But that's just a bit weird, isn't it, that they're playing for London. The other things that happened on that day, York beat Barrow to confirm 6th spot.
This is where I wanted to just jump in a little bit. So York win and get into 6th ahead of Batley by a points difference of 13.
Yeah.
So
everything's decided on points difference.
You've got to look back at the games. 2 weeks earlier, they beat York by a point. York beat Batley by 1 point. How important is that 1 point, that win?
Yeah.
When they lost to Batley at the start of the season, they only lost by 6.
Yeah.
They lose another 2 tries there, you're in trouble.
They missed the playoffs.
They missed the playoffs.
But which is unusual because Batley made the final last year, so a bit of a regression for them, although they are semi-pro.
But the top 2 had been decided in Featherstone and Toulouse.
Yeah, and Sheffield and Bradford were both confirmed in the playoffs.
So were London.
And London.
London were confirmed.
London were confirmed, yeah.
But this is where it's really interesting.
Were interesting, yeah.
So Bradford have finished 3rd, meaning they play York, and Sheffield have finished 4th, meaning they have a home tie against London.
Yeah.
Bradford played Sheffield and won 17 points to 16 with a drop goal.
Jordan Lilly drop goal.
Yeah. Sheffield were losing 16-14, kicked a penalty goal in the 79th minute and hit a drop goal to win it. Bradford then hit a drop goal to win it.
Bradford were the team that were in front.
Yeah.
Sheffield pegged them back level and then Jordan Lilly dropped a goal for the win.
If Sheffield had won, Sheffield would have finished 3rd.
And played York at home.
Bradford would have finished 5th.
Yeah.
And had an away trip to London. So suddenly now you're playing the team that finished 6th at home rather than having to go to London for a knockout away game.
Yeah.
They won by a point. Bradford have had a draw this year to get that 1 point, and that was Halifax. Again, in that, Bradford kicked a penalty in the 80th minute to draw that game.
Yeah.
It is so important, these wins, these 1 points that you don't even consider.
I probably should have mentioned as well, actually, that we talked about Newcastle and Keighley both going down, and we've only talked about Doncaster coming up. Dewsbury were automatic promotion.
Yes,
from League One. They practically walked League One this year, so Dewsbury and Doncaster are coming up. Dewsbury with the automatic promotion, and Doncaster through the playoffs. So there you go. They'll be replacing Newcastle.
Although there is a vote apparently happening, isn't there, about what's going to happen to League One and the Championship and potential
London Scholars decided they didn't get a point all year. London Scholars in League One, they didn't win a game, and they've decided. I think a couple of the best players and the coach actually jumped ship to London Broncos at some point. They decided to withdraw from League One and join the Super League South, which is just the Southern Conference, basically. It's a championship.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit like, standard-wise, it's like League Two because the standard is lower than League One, but it's all teams in the south, so it's regional.
Less travelling as well.
Less travelling. So they're going to be in that London Scholars, and to be honest, they'll make it stronger. But the problem now is League One is another team down, and there's not many teams in there to begin with. So there are calls for Championship and League One to be combined and maybe expand Super League to include all the professional teams, or 14 professional teams, and just have a bigger championship.
I don't want to get off onto this, but this is what really annoys me. Because we've played all season thinking that 12th will get relegated. Wakefield might stay up.
No, I don't think this will be for this year.
But you get what I mean? We're talking now. We're having a vote. We don't know whether it's for next year, the year after.
Yeah.
There's so many talks.
We need to announce what's going to happen,
And
but say it's going to happen in 12 months.
yeah.
That's what we need
start
to do.
planning.
Well, that's what we need to do.
The Premier League every year, how many teams play in it?
20.
How many play in the Championship?
24.
How many go up, go down? You can find out because it's the same every year.
Yeah.
Our league changes so quick, so often. We've had a top 5 system, a top 8 system, a top 6.
Middle 8 system.
Middle 8's £1 million game, a one-off £1 million game.
Club call.
Club call. That
Playoff eliminators.
yeah, that if you're not an avid goer of the game, if you didn't watch one year, you won't have a clue what was happening the year after. Where I can look at the Premier League and just Google who got relegated last year, who got promoted. It's easier to access for the casual fan.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Super League needs to go, and Rugby League as a whole, to decide how we're going to be, how we're going to play the game.
Plus, there's this whole Southern Conference thing now. That with a bit of marketing could be quite successful. The Midlands Conference could be quite successful. Did you know they existed?
No.
No, I didn't really until this year, until I saw London Scholars were going to join it. If Wigan had an affiliate team in those two leagues, would you follow it? Like if we sent our players on loan there, our young players.
Like a dual reg system or
Yeah.
something similar.
Say there's 12 teams in it. 12 Super League
Yeah.
clubs have an affiliate there, or maybe you don't include Catalan, whatever. Send your loan players there.
I'd keep an eye on it.
Exactly.
If you had a game up here, I'd try and go and watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if Wigan were to send players though. So like Wigan had a young lad who's coming through who needs a bit of first team game.
Getting playing in the Southern Conference, playing against men.
Yeah.
I know we've sent a few to Cornwall on loan,
Yeah.
but that
Maybe having a team that's more closely associated.
this is
Like a partnership
an actual partnership. I'm talking like an
Yeah.
actual permanent partnership.
that doesn't change season from season.
No, I don't see why that wouldn't work.
That'd be interesting to think about that, you know.
Try and get more eyeballs on the Southern Conference, more eyeballs on the Midlands Conference.
League One.
Yeah,
Championship.
yeah, you could do that.
Right. That wraps up the rest of the comps, really.
Yeah. Do you want to just quickly do predictions? I mean, there's only 3 games.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Lewis isn't here, even though he's winning. We can't even catch him up because, well, I'm more than 3 behind. You're more than 3 behind me. We all got 6 out of 8 last week.
Yeah. So, shall we do predictions?
So I'll just say, just because the order's probably not going to change now because there's only half a dozen games left. But you are on.
Oh, Jesus wept.
You are on 28. Wow. 28. I don't know how many that's out of. But you're on 28. I'm on 32. And Lewis is on 36.
Okay.
So
I can catch him.
So there's a 4-point gap.
catch him.
There's a 4-point gap between you and me, and there's a 4-point gap between me and Lewis. And there's only 3 games this week, so you can't catch him, even though he's going to score.
Because I've got 5 games for you.
He's going to score 0.
I've got 5 games for you.
Right, so we're picking the championship then, are we?
And
But if you want to catch him up, pick the Brisbane Tigers game. No, we can't do that too. We can't do that.
There's a game being played in, let's see what league I can find.
Azerbaijan, 4th division.
There's an internet. Oh, come back on PNG.
PNG,
Yeah, they've got. Oh, they played last week, didn't they? The Prime Minister's 11.
the Prime Minister's 11 won. Well,
Yeah.
it was 13. It's Prime Minister's 13.
Yeah, sorry. You know what I mean. Been a long day indeed. So,
It was a good game, that, though. It was quite close. Nenny McDonald opened the scoring. I wish that was a
it just
show.
gets worse for Leeds.
I know.
It just gets worse and worse. Right. NRL Grand Final. Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Brisbane versus Penrith.
What a huge game. I am so looking forward to
Who'd win
this.
a fight? Broncos or Panthers?
A Bronco or a Panther? That'd be an interesting fight. If it was 17 on 17, that'd be very interesting.
I know.
You couldn't bet on it, though. That would be illegal. It wouldn't be illegal to think about it, but to bet on it certainly would be.
You know what? While you're thinking, I'll go. Leigh Briers, Barmy Army, with Kevin Walters, the Wiganer, who's going to bring success. And yes, I'm calling him a Wigan now because we've adopted him.
Kevy or Leigh?
Leigh.
Herbie Farnworth, he's practically from Wigan.
I'm
What is he
going
from,
to
Tulsa?
say
That's in Wigan.
Brisbane beat Penrith to ruin.
Newton Storm and Wigan St Pat's Junior, Herbie Farnworth.
I'm going Brisbane.
I think Penrith are going to win. Again, the unstoppable killing machine.
So I'm either catching you or it's getting worse.
An actual Penrith Panther. Well, an actual Panther would be an unstoppable killing machine. And this Penrith team are that. They embody their mascot more than anybody else.
We'll go to the championship.
Apart from the Bunnies this year.
Okay, Sheffield Eagles versus the London Broncos.
Right, we're actually back in this then. Okay.
In the last, they played 2 games this year.
Yeah.
The first game in London, Sheffield won 21 points to 20. In Sheffield, London won 26-18. So twice the away team has won.
London. Dean Farray, Corey Norman, that other fella whose name I read it before. London Broncos.
I'm going to go Sheffield Eagles.
I just don't know who's going to win
I'm
these
going to go
games.
Sheffield Eagles. Bradford Bulls versus, for some reason this is telling me, the York Acorns.
That's it. Amateur team. It's York Acorn.
Acorns, sorry. Why?
Yeah, get it right. Acorns.
This is not a Super League affiliated, a Rugby League affiliated website.
It
It's
isn't,
put the
is it?
wrong team.
It isn't York Acorn. It's York Knights, the professional team.
I know. I've just the last time they played the York Acorns, they played them this year.
Bradford didn't play. Bradford actually played York Acorn.
62-6.
That's embarrassing. What website is that?
Bradford Bulls versus the York Knights.
Yeah. the
Half
York
6
Knights.
kick-off. I'm going to go Bradford.
I think Bradford as well.
Oh, you bottled it.
Well, you
You were talking them up before.
who? York. When was I doing that?
I don't know, I just wanted to see if you'd change.
Oh, I like both these teams. Yeah, I'd like both these teams to be in Super League
In the future.
in the future, yeah.
Right.
And London.
Yeah. Right. Over to Super League. Playoffs. Hull KR versus the Leopards.
This is so tough. This is really tough. I'm going to go Craven Park Factor, I think. And I think I'm going to go for all them East Hull begging for a penalty. Forward Merchants, Hull KR. They'll get on the ref's back and they'll get every decision. They beg for a penalty.
Could Derek Beaumont go out at half time with a microphone like that woman from Norwich?
Oh, what if Beaumont's comments make the refs give everything to Leigh this week? Oh, what if they make it even worse and they... Oh, this
They
is...
better not have a ref from Standish.
I've said Hull KR now, I'm going with Hull KR.
I'm going to go Leigh.
Have they got a ref from Standish? Well, 2 of them are.
Yeah.
2 of the refs are from
You
Standish.
went to school with one of them.
I went to school, yeah, he was a star of our team as well. He was the best player on our team. We weren't great. That's why he's a ref and not a professional.
So you've gone Hull.
Hull
I've
KR,
gone
I'll go
Leigh.
for Hull KR, yeah. Hull KR. Home advantage.
Saints, Warrington. I said it before about Sam Tompkins, and I'm going to say it now because this is all I've thought about for the last 2 days.
Sam Tompkins.
Wait. Any team with George Williams in
Oh.
can win any random game of rugby league.
They can, but so can any team with Johnny Lomax in. Johnny Lomax and George Williams, do they cancel each other out? They're both awesome players. They both will the teams to victory.
See, I'm going to disagree. I think Williams is better than Lomax, but I think Lomax is more consistent.
I just think they're both really, really good.
I know.
Both really
They are.
consistent.
They are. I mean, I'm nitpicking that.
You're picking.
But George Williams,
Yeah.
I've seen him do so much for Wigan. Go over to the
You're
NRL.
basically picking between Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 here. They're just both great. Can't we just enjoy them? Do you remember that? Like Messi and Ronaldo. Just enjoy them both.
Yeah.
That's me with Rocky 3 and Rocky 4.
Well done deflecting, but who are you going to go for?
St Helens home form again. I think this. I'll spoil next week's prediction. I think this is the end of the road for them because I don't think they'll win in the south of France. But home form, St Helens, excellent. So St Helens for me are going to win this one close. You want to back Gary Chambers?
I don't. I'm going to go Saints.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to disagree with is I think they've got a chance in the south of France.
Yeah, I do know. I've said it. I just wanted to be confident.
And I didn't want to say it.
I just wanted to be confident that they wouldn't make the final, and we'd have a different finalist. I'll tell you what. We'll bell Lewis in a bit and get his predictions put on the Twitter. So it's not fair that he doesn't get to have access to these 5 points.
We should have asked him first.
What, so we could pick the same? No, because we would have to pick different ones, differential picks.
Yeah.
That's what I've been going with, and it's what's been letting me down, to be honest. Like, I picked Salford last week as a I picked Huddersfield.
Yeah.
To be different. And we all got 2 wrong, but we all got 2 different ones wrong.
Yeah.
Because I got Huddersfield wrong, you got Melbourne wrong. And I can't remember what Lewis got wrong, actually. He might have backed... he might have backed Salford. Can't remember. Oh yeah, he backed Cass.
It's really interesting. Like I'm sat here, and I know I went quiet then, but I'm just thinking, could they... Warrington, if Duffy just turns up, Paul Vaughan's a massive out for Warrington,
Yeah.
and I think if Vaughan was playing, I'd pick him.
If Wigan don't win it, who do you want to win?
Oh my god, that's like picking like what you want robbing from your house.
No, if Wigan don't get there.
That's yeah.
Because let's just say
right.
You don't want St Helens to win, obviously, because
I definitely don't want Warrington to win it.
Neither do I, but I want them to lose in the final.
I want them.
I want Catalan to beat Warrington in the final if Wigan can't make it.
Right.
Here's why.
So
Because Catalan deserve it. If Wigan don't make it, Catalan deserve it, or Saints deserve it, and I'm not having Saints win it 5 times in a row. So, by default, Catalan win it. Now, once I've decided Catalan are the winners,
right.
Who's the funniest team for them to beat in the final? Beating Saints in the final isn't that funny, and probably impossible anyway. Beating
Warrington.
Warrington.
To Hull KR, and that big red dog is out consoling people again on the phone.
Also, Catalan beat Hull KR in the final, and the big Hull KR bottled 2 finals and the big red dog.
What if Leigh lose to Catalan, and there's a dodgy decision?
Oh yeah.
Who would be most? Sorry, I'm going to ask you a different question now.
Warrington.
Who would be the worst to win it? Saints winning 5 in a row.
Yeah. Followed by
Leigh winning the Challenge Cup and the Grand Final in the first year.
Oh.
Right. Or Warrington winning the league in March, being the worst team in the world by
and finally breaking
July.
and
then, oh my God, we have to win it.
We have to win it. We have to save the world from these scenarios. We have to save rugby league.
I've not
Batty Pete, as if there wasn't enough pressure on you boys. We've got to save the world from 5 in a row Warrington breaking the curse.
My only positive this week is
Oh.
Saints and Warrington knock each other out.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
Willie Peets could do a job and knock the other one out.
Willie Peets.
Mate, my head's gone
He's
thinking about them.
retired for Huddersfield, Willie.
Oh.
Nathan Peets is retired and they're bringing in Willie.
My head's gone. How bad are them three?
But yeah. We've got to win it. We're going to win it. Let's do it. Come on, Wigan.
Come on, Wigan.
End the podcast there.
See you later. Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap 'cause he's a